Chapter 906. It's over, it's over, it's all over. Seeing the moon god ship appear, the shark demon grandmasters' faces turned green. They originally thought that this kid was alone and that no matter how he moved the treasures, he wouldn't be able to take them away. They could use this time to stall for time and wait for the shark demon king to return. At that time they could take this human's life. But who would have thought that this kid had actually prepared a super battleship outside and was just waiting to move the treasures? He didn't need their help at all. Hurry up and move these things onto my ship. I'll take them away in a moment. Xia Ping shouted, instructing the shark demons to quickly move and load the treasures. Wait. At this moment, a Grandmaster Shark Demon couldn't hold it in any longer and immediately stepped forward to stop him. What, wait? What do you want? Xia Ping looked at these shark demons with an unfriendly expression. It seemed like these monsters wanted to go back on their word. We've fulfilled our end of the bargain, but what about yours? Where is the nuclear bomb buried in our city? If you don't tell us, we won't hand these treasures over to you. The shark demon grandmasters glared at Xia Ping. The reason why they were obedient was because Xia Ping had buried a nuclear bomb in the city. If they didn't obey his orders, all the monsters in the city would die. If they didn't find the location of the nuclear bomb and handed over the treasures, this kid would also detonate the bomb. Wouldn't that be a double loss? Oh, a nuclear bomb. That seems to be the case. At this point I'll tell you the truth. Actually, I was lying to you before. I didn't bury a nuclear bomb in your city. Xia Ping answered very honestly. What? Hearing this, the shark demon grandmasters were all shocked. They didn't expect Xia Ping to say such a thing. If this kid didn't bury a nuclear bomb, then wouldn't they have been fooled by this damn human? They had been sold by this guy, yet they were still helping him count the money. All the shark demon grandmasters' eyes were burning with anger, like volcanoes erupting. They wanted nothing more than to tear Xia Ping into pieces. Thinking about how they were fooled by this human like fools, they couldn't help but feel angry. Alright, you know the truth now. Hurry up and move the treasures. Xia Ping called out. Move your ass. A shark demon grandmaster cursed. You didn't even bury a nuclear bomb in our city, so you don't have any evidence against us. You want us to hand over our treasures with both hands? Dream on. You'll have a share if we eat shit. The reason why they obeyed Xia Ping's words was because of this weakness. Now that this weakness was gone, they naturally wouldn't be polite anymore. That's right. Without anything to use against us, a mere human like you is nothing but a pile of shit. You still want to act like a tyrant in our underwater world? Dream on. Surrender immediately. That way you won't have to suffer so much. Otherwise you'll be stuck between life and death today. Why are we wasting our breath on this human? Capture him immediately and torture him viciously. Let him see how powerful we are. He has already made us miserable enough. All the shark demons gnashed their teeth, and all of them had bellyfuls of rage and ferocious expressions. They seemed to wish for nothing more than to charge over immediately and tear Xia Ping into countless pieces without leaving anything behind. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, Xia Ping's eyes flickered. His mental energy felt a slight fluctuation in the air, and a condensed killing intent spread over and covered his entire body. 3 black-robed Grandmaster Shark Demons immediately attacked. They were silent and didn't cause any waves. They came from 3 different directions, sealing off all the blind spots. They held poison daggers in their hands, and a dark and terrifying cold light flashed past. In an instant, the 3 Grandmaster Shark Demons closed in on Xia Ping, wanting to stab his heart with a single stab. Courting death. Xia Ping's eyes flashed coldly. He immediately activated the Moon God's weapon system and locked onto the 3 Grandmaster Shark Demons. Swish, swish, swish. In an instant, 3 laser cannons shot out. The lasers were as thick as water buckets and they contained destructive energy. It was as if there were only 3 laser beams left in the sea. Not good. Dodge. The surrounding Shark Demon Grandmasters were scared out of their wits. They didn't expect this battleship to be so terrifying and have such a powerful cannon system. One attack could threaten the lives of Grandmaster Sharks. The problem was that even kings would find it hard to dodge such laser cannons, let alone Grandmaster Sharks. Boom. In the next second, the laser cannons reached the bodies of the 3 Grandmaster Shark Demons. They didn't even get within 10 meters of Xia Ping before their bodies were blasted into pieces. A deep pit with a diameter of tens of meters appeared on the ground. Gravel flew everywhere and the ground was charred black. The earth trembled, showing the power of the cannon just now. Many of the Grandmaster Demons felt a chill rise from the soles of their feet and rushed straight to the top of their heads. Their bodies shuddered. At this moment they realized why Xia Ping dared to speak the truth so boldly. It was because he had a battleship and wasn't afraid of the threat of the shark demons at all. Whoever dared to be presumptuous would be killed. The shark demons just now were a warning. He was killing the chicken to scare the monkey. Who else? Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back. Who else is dissatisfied? Come out and let me see. I'm a very democratic person. Whoever dares to be dissatisfied, I'll kill him. I promise I won't be lenient. He looked around with a murderous aura. Previously, when he didn't make a move, these shark demons thought that they were pushovers. Even if he was alone, he wouldn't be afraid of these Grandmaster Shark demons. Not to mention that he had the battleship Moon God. In this place he could kill anyone who stood in his way. This is a technological weapon of the human race. Yu Qiqi's pupils constricted. She could clearly feel the power of this cannon. Could even threaten a king. It contained terrifying destructive power. If every human had a weapon like this, wouldn't they be heaven-defying? Who would be a match for the human race then? At this moment, Xia Ping was like a god of death, threatening the world. These shark demon grandmasters didn't dare to complain anymore. If they still dared to make a sound, they would all die under the bombardment of Moon God. Not long later, these shark demons obediently moved all the treasures into Xia Ping's Moon God. Their attitude was even more humble than that of a grandson. Alright, I'll be leaving. We'll meet again in the future if fate allows it. Xia Ping waved his hand and left this place with Yu Qiqi. Moon God shook and quickly left the underwater world. What do we do? Seeing Xia Ping leave with a large number of treasures, the shark demons looked at each other. Chapter 907. But if His Majesty were to find out that this was our dereliction of duty and that we were deceived, resulting in such heavy losses, our fates would be bleak. A shark demon grandmaster had a grave expression. The other shark demons nodded. Even if they thought with their knees, it was obvious that if the shark demon king were to find out that they had been tricked by Xia Ping, they would obediently hand over the palace's treasures. All of them would probably have to die to appease the shark demon king's anger. Since that's the case, we can't speak the truth. Just say that we were indeed threatened by Xia Ping. He buried a nuclear bomb in the city and we had no choice but to agree to his threats. A shark demon grandmaster said in a deep voice. That's right. We can say that we fought a battle of wits and courage with this shameless human. Finally, we managed to protect the entire city from this evil human. This is a meritorious deed. That's right. Let's just say it like that. That way even His Majesty can't blame us. Let's say it like that. Remember, we have to speak in unison or we will all die. Many shark demon grandmasters immediately decided to conceal a portion of the truth. Otherwise they would probably be used as scapegoats by the enraged shark demon king and be torn to shreds. Following that, they immediately used their communication devices to contact the shark demon king who was thousands of kilometers away. At this moment, hundreds of kilometers away from Giant Island, in the Sea Demon Coalition's base camp, many demon kings had gathered. They were attending a banquet, watching beautiful demons dance and drinking fine wine. They were very happy. At this moment, a shark demon hurriedly walked in with a flustered expression. He went directly to the shark demon king's side and whispered a few words into his ear. What? After hearing this, the excited shark demon king couldn't help but shout. You're saying that son of a bitch Xia Ping actually drove a warship into our shark demon clan city and even conveniently looted all the treasures in our palace? Plundering everything? With a bang, he could not help but slap the stone table in front of him. Instantly, it shattered into pieces and a shocking crack appeared on the ground. All the demon kings present could feel the shark demon king's rage. Could not be suppressed at all. At this moment, his face was as black as charcoal. It was like dark clouds had gathered, and the entire banquet hall was filled with an oppressive aura. This was a demon king's rage. The surrounding maidservants were trembling, afraid that they would be implicated. Is this true or not? Are you sure it's true? Shark demon monarch gritted his teeth. He still couldn't believe it. This was because this matter was just too shocking. He was still fighting on the giant island, wanting to exterminate a large number of humans. Who would have thought that in the blink of an eye, his own nest would suffer a calamity and be ransacked by a little thief? If this was the truth, it would go crazy. It's true, it's confirmed. The general who stayed behind came to contact us personally. The shark monster guard braced himself and nodded. When he had first heard this news, he had been extremely shocked. But after confirming it again and again, he had no choice but to believe it. He hurriedly came to report. It said that the human thief even buried a nuclear bomb in our city, intending to blow up our nest and wipe us all out. Fortunately, our commander fought with this shameless human in a battle of wits and courage, preventing the demons in the entire city from being annihilated, minimizing the losses. It described the news from the Shark Demon General. What did you say? Shark Demon Monarch flew into a rage. That bitch actually dared to bury a nuclear bomb in the city of my Shark Demon race. He even wants to blow up the entire nest of our race. How dare he do such a thing? He's courting death. He clearly wants to die. His entire body was trembling. If Xiaoping really succeeded, then even if he slaughtered the giant island today, his Shark Demon race would be erased from the endless sea tomorrow. They would no longer have the prestige they had today. It can't be, right? How can that human be so arrogant? Does he want to fight to the death with the Shark Demon Monarch? It's been a fight to the death for a long time. He's already attacking the giant island and wants to exterminate his entire clan. There's no room for reconciliation. We want to kill his entire clan, but he also wants to kill our entire clan. How ruthless. This human is indeed ruthless. He actually directly entered the Shark Demon race's nest and wants to wipe us all out. If he really succeeds, the Shark Demon race will probably suffer a great blow. It will take at least 1,000 years for them to recover. Heavens, that's an underwater world thousands of meters deep. The water pressure is extremely high. How did this human go down there? It said that this human has a super battleship that can be used on land, sea, and air. It can fly up into the sky, dive into the ground, and dive into the sea. Even so, it's impossible to sneak into the underwater city without a sound. There are enchantments all around. It's impossible not to alarm the other demon soldiers. Perhaps this human has a secret treasure on him that can hide from the detection of the enchantments. Damn it. If he dares to sneak into the Shark Demon race's city today, will he also sneak into our city tomorrow? The other demon monarchs were also shocked. They didn't expect such a thing to happen. Originally, they relied on the underwater world as a natural stronghold and had nothing to fear. It had always been them who attacked human cities, not humans who attacked their own cities. Therefore they could advance and retreat as they pleased, coming and going like the wind. They didn't fear humans at all. Even if they failed, they could hide in the sea and humans couldn't do anything to them. But now it seemed that this wasn't the case at all. Humans had already begun to threaten the underwater world, and they could enter and leave as they pleased. A chill surged in their hearts. Today the Shark Demon Monarch had been robbed. Tomorrow they might be robbed. Instantly many demon monarchs' eyes flickered. They felt a sense of danger. This won't do. I have to return to my territory and see what happened. The Shark Demon Monarch immediately stood up. He was burning with anxiety. He wanted to know how severe his losses were. Even though the guards had reported that his palace had been ransacked, he didn't see it with his own eyes. He was still skeptical, wondering if it was an illusion or a joke. Shark Demon Monarch, I'll go with you. The Shadow Demon Monarch also stood up, his eyes flashing. Perhaps that human hasn't gone far. We can join forces. If there's a chance, we'll wipe him out completely. The two of us can take care of each other. If we can kill that human, there's no way out. He volunteered, hoping to take this opportunity to do Shark Demon Monarch a favor. Good. As expected of the Shadow Demon Monarch. A friend in need is a friend indeed. I, Shark Demon Monarch, will remember your assistance this time. Let's go together. The Shark Demon Monarch looked gratefully at the Shadow Demon Monarch. The two immediately took action and left the island. Given the Demon Monarch's cloud-treading speed, they were extremely fast. Moreover, they were moving at full speed. There was no room for them to hold back. In just an hour, they returned to the Shark Demon race's territory. Chapter 908. Once he returned to the palace, the first thing the Shark Demon Monarch did was to go to his herb garden. This was his most important place. Whether he could become an invincible monarch in the future depended on these spirit herbs. If anything happened to these spirit herbs, he would probably go crazy. Whoosh. He did not waste his breath with the surrounding Shark Demon guards. He rushed into the herb garden with the Shadow Demon Monarch and saw that the entire herb garden was barren. Not a single blade of grass grew. It looked like a courtyard that had been abandoned for a long time. That goddamn Xiaoping. The Shark Demon Monarch's eyes turned green. Purple blood ginseng, where are my purple blood ginseng? These purple blood ginseng were the key to him becoming an invincible monarch. He usually used them to condense his dermic powers, improve his aptitude, and increase his chances of breaking through. Consuming one would make his heart ache for a long time. But now they were all gone. Not a single one was left. The entire ground was bare. Reporting to your majesty, they were all stolen by that thief, Xia Ping. A shark demon guard answered. Where is my silver fruit tree? Where is my silver fruit tree that blooms every 10 years, bears fruit every 10 years and matures every 10 years? How could such a huge tree disappear just like that? The shark demon monarch roared. The shark demon guard lowered his head, not daring to look at the shark demon monarch. It was also stolen by that thief. Steal my ass. How could he steal such a huge tree? The palace is so big and the guards are so big. Did you all go eat shit and not see anything? The shark demon monarch's face turned red with anger. He could not believe his eyes. The silver fruit tree was huge and it was one of the most precious spirit herbs in the entire herb garden. If the thief had only plucked the silver fruit, it would not have been a big deal. With the silver fruit tree here, it would grow back sooner or later. The loss would not be too great. But now this bastard had stolen the entire tree. He was not planning to let the shark demon monarch live. The shark demon guard did not know how to answer. He could not say that they were accomplices and had even helped to uproot the spirit tree and send it outside the city gates. He believed that if he really said that, he would definitely be killed by the enraged shark demon king. Where's the spiritual soil? Where's the spiritual soil that I've worked so hard to move here? Why does it look like someone has dug 3 feet into the ground and plowed it? Shark demon monarch's eyes turned red. As a herb garden, the most important thing was the spirit soil. Without spirit soil, no spirit herbs could grow. It was the foundation of the herb garden. In order to cultivate this herb garden, it had spent hundreds of years plundering and mobilizing countless subordinates to accumulate so much spiritual soil, allowing the many spirit herbs to grow strong and healthy. Now it was all gone. If there was no spirit soil, then what was the difference between this herb garden and an ordinary courtyard? How could people plant spirit herbs here? Your Majesty, the spiritual soil was also stolen by that human thief. He dug 3 feet into the ground and took a lot of sacks. His movements were very skilled, as if he was used to doing this kind of thing. The shark demon guard replied guiltily, not daring to look the shark demon king in the eye. With a pft, the shark demon king couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. He roared, Human Xiaoping, you didn't even let the soil go. You and I are irreconcilable. It was filled with grief and indignation. It had painstakingly spent hundreds of years to cultivate this medicinal garden. It had nurtured countless painstaking efforts, but now it had all been destroyed by a little thief. One could imagine the rage in his heart. He even had the thought of killing Xiaoping. The Shadow Goblin King was speechless. He could empathize with the Shark Demon King. If he had encountered such a thing, and all the savings he had painstakingly accumulated were swept away, he wouldn't just spit out blood. Even if he massacred an entire city, he wouldn't be able to vent his anger. He looked at the Shark Demon King with pity. He felt that this fellow was extremely unlucky. That's right, the treasury. What happened to my treasury? The Shark Demon King suddenly recalled that there was another treasure trove in the royal palace. He was burning with anxiety. He left the herb garden and quickly returned to his bedroom. But when he arrived and saw the state of his bedroom, his vision darkened. He nearly fainted on the ground. His blood surged and he almost vomited blood. My bed, my chair, my table, why are they all gone? The Shark Demon King roared. He saw that his deep-sea frost jade bed, the crabapple wood furniture, and the paintings of famous people had all disappeared. Even the few ordinary cups that he had casually placed here had been plundered. The originally luxurious room was now empty. It was as if it had been ravaged by a storm several times. There were signs of destruction everywhere. It was no different from a refugee camp. Not long ago, the Shark Demon King's room had been reduced to such a state. Reporting to my king, these things were also stolen by that human thief. He said that his house was lacking these things, so he took them all. He was very efficient. The Shark Demon Guard wanted to escape. Staying beside the Shark Demon King, who was on the brink of an explosion, was no different from suicide. Accompanying a king was like accompanying a tiger. But now he had no way to escape. He could only bite the bullet and answer. I lack your brother-in-law. With a boom, the Shark Demon King slammed his fist into the wall. Instantly, a large hole was blasted through. The ground cracked open and crackled. It was a shocking scene. Just because he was lacking some furniture, he moved away from his royal palace. Was there such a reason? Did he think that it was only natural? This goddamn human should be torn apart by 5 horses. One could imagine the Shark Demon King's current mood. He had just left for a short period of time, but his entire house had been moved away. It was empty, without even a strand of hair left. If Xiaoping dared to appear in front of him again, he would definitely charge forward and tear Xiaoping to pieces. Where's the treasury? How's the treasury now? How's the damage? The Shark Demon King's expression was extremely gloomy. It was as black as a black hole, and its body emitted an extremely repressive aura. It was as though the air had turned into mercury, making it extremely heavy. This? The Shark Demon Guard lowered his head, not daring to say a word. It was as though he was afraid of agitating the Shark Demon King. Speak. Why can't I say it? This king can withstand it. The Shark Demon King clenched his fists. His voice was deep and low, like the roar of an injured wolf king. It was terrifying, as though it was unknown when he would suddenly attack. How's the damage? It's best that my king take a look for himself. The Shark Demon Guard did not dare say a word. He walked forward and reached out his hand to open the treasury's door. The Shark Demon King's expression was gloomy. He clenched his fists and walked to the treasury's door to look inside. With a plop, his eyelids rolled back and he fainted to the ground. He also spat out a large mouthful of blood. He had actually fainted from anger. My king, my king. Chapter 909. What? Shadow Goblin King was also shocked. As a Goblin King, his mental endurance was unfathomably high. He had only ever been knocked unconscious by others but never by anger. But now Shark Goblin King had fainted from anger. One could imagine how much agitation he had received. He went forward to take a look and immediately saw the interior of the treasury. It was completely empty with nothing left. Not even a scrap of paper. It was even cleaner than his face. Damn, it was even cleaner than his face. Shadow Goblin King's mouth twitched. He knew that as a Goblin King's treasury and a deep-sea Goblin King at that, he was definitely rich. He would be considered a super tycoon in the Myriad Demon Mountain, the kind that could spend money as he pleased. One could imagine how many treasures there were in such a treasury. But now there was nothing left, not even a strand of hair. It was cleaner than his face. This human thief had not even let go of the screws. He had stolen everything clean. He had painstakingly accumulated hundreds of years of wealth, and now it was all stolen. It was no wonder that Shark Goblin King had fainted from anger. Even a Goblin King made of iron would not be able to withstand such a huge blow. After a long time, Shark Goblin King slowly regained consciousness. He was a Goblin King after all. Even though he had fainted from anger, his powerful physique allowed him to recover quickly. But he did not say anything. He looked silently at the treasury that had been emptied, his eyes cold. King, are you all right? The Shark Goblin Guard beside him shivered. This was the first time he had seen his king in such a state. His eyes were lifeless, as though he had lost all his money in a casino. Does this king look all right? Shark Goblin King said coldly, his tone filled with a terrifying chill. It was as though his words had frozen the entire space, and the temperature had dropped by who knew how many degrees. Instantly, the surrounding shark goblins were so frightened that they did not dare to say anything. They were like roosters that had been grabbed by the neck. They were afraid that if they continued to agitate Shark Goblin King, they would all die a horrible death. Brother Shadow Goblin. Shark Goblin King turned and looked at Shadow Goblin King. I want to kill that human and his entire family. He was filled with killing intent. He was absolutely irreconcilable. All right, what do you want me to do? The Shadow Goblin King immediately knew that the Shark Goblin King was asking for his help. However, this was exactly what the Shadow Goblin King wanted. If the Shark Demon Monarch really disregarded everything, a mere human Grandmaster would definitely die. In this way, its mission of killing the human Xiaoping would be completed. Brother Shadow Demon is indeed a straightforward person. This king will say it directly. The Shark Fiend Monarch stared at the Shadow Fiend Monarch. I know that your Shadow Fiend clan can turn incorporeal. You can come and go anywhere you want. You are the strongest assassin. If you're willing, you'll probably be able to enter and exit human cities at will. The Shadow Goblin King nodded. That is indeed the case. However, you can only enter and exit ordinary human cities without being discovered. If you go to places that are strictly monitored by human kings, even I will be helpless. It wasn't exaggerating its abilities. Although the power of the voidification was extremely powerful, it was an innate ability of the race. However, it was not omnipotent. Since the humans also knew how terrifying the Shadow Fiend clan was, they naturally thought of many ways to deal with them. In particular, some forbidden areas were specially designed to prevent the Shadow Fiend clan from spying on them. There is no need to enter other places. We will enter the giant island. Use your abilities to bring me into the giant island. This king wants to personally kill that human Xiaoping. The shark goblin king was filled with killing intent. The monk can run but the temple can't. Since he dared to take something from me, the shark goblin king, he will have to spit out whatever he took. He clenched his fists tightly, filled with terrifying rage. However, the giant island is heavily guarded. It won't be easy to sneak in. The shadow goblin king hesitated for a moment. If they really entered this human city, the corresponding risk would not be small. Once they were discovered by human kings, they would die without a burial. Cut the crap. Are you going to help me or not? The shark goblin king gritted his teeth. This king does not need you to do anything. I just need you to bring this king in. When you leave, bring this king out as well. As for the matter of killing the human Xiaoping, leave it to this king. The shadow goblin king narrowed his eyes. Are you absolutely confident? I heard that the brat is hiding in the core region of the giant island. That place is heavily guarded. It won't be easy to kill him. If the shark goblin king took action instead of himself, the risk would be minimized. He had no reason to refuse. After all, if he failed, he would not be the one dying. How can I not have absolute confidence in killing a human grandmaster? Even if he is hiding in the core region of the giant island, there will be a time when he comes out. The shark goblin king laughed coldly. Once he comes out, this king will find an opportunity to kill the brat in one move. Then I will escape easily. No matter how angry those humans are, they won't be able to do anything to me. All right. Then when do we make our move? The shadow goblin king made a prompt decision. Since a goblin king was willing to personally kill Xiaoping without any regard for his own safety, he had no reason to refuse. No. The shadow goblin king laughed coldly. This brat just snatched my treasures and is feeling smug. Let's kill him now and catch him off guard. No matter how crafty this brat is, he will never expect me to make my move so quickly. He wanted to take advantage of Xiaoping's carelessness to kill the human instantly. This way the human monarchs would not have time to react, and he would be able to escape easily. Alright, then let's make our move now. The shadow goblin king nodded. With that, the two goblin kings did not need to care about anything else. They immediately left the underwater city, left the surface of the sea, and flew rapidly towards the giant island. However, after flying for a few hundred kilometers, they passed by an uninhabited island. Suddenly, dozens of terrifying laser beams shot out from below the island. What? The shadow goblin king and the shark goblin king jumped in fright. Their hair stood on end as though they were facing a great enemy. They felt that their lives were in grave danger. These laser beams had the power to threaten their lives. However, they had never expected that someone would dare to ambush the two goblin kings on the surface of the sea. This person was simply audacious. Swoosh. Immediately, a flying ship appeared out of thin air. It floated in midair and emitted a faint moonlight. It was like a divine moon god in the night sky. Chapter 9-10. Bastard. Despicable Xiaoping dares to ambush me? The shark demon king was so angry that his entire body was trembling. Xiaoping had plundered all the treasures in his lair, yet he did not immediately flee back to Giant Island. Instead, he stayed behind where they had to pass. His goal was to ambush them. What a cruel and merciless method. What a despicable and shameless act. This human's heart was even blacker than ink. It was so bad that it was oozing pus. Dodge. Don't fight it head on. The Shadow Goblin King screamed. He could feel the terror of the laser beam. Its destructive power was shocking. It was no wonder that it could kill even kings. This was not an undeserved reputation. Perhaps only invincible kings could dodge the laser beam calmly. They could even take it head-on without suffering any damage. But they were only high-level kings in the fulfillment realm. If they wanted to take the laser beam head-on, it would be no different from seeking death. The Shadow Goblin King and the Shark Demon King used all their skills, circulating their magic power to the extreme. Terrifying power brewed around them, and the surrounding air vibrated thousands of times. In an instant, their figures flickered, transforming into countless figures as they tried to dodge the laser beam. But it was too late. Xia Ping had taken advantage of the moment when the two demon kings were at their most relaxed to attack. They were unprepared and did not have much time to react. Furthermore, the speed of the laser beam was unbelievably fast. The enemy had just seen the laser beam when they were shocked to discover that it was already in front of them. Dong dong dong. Immediately, the destructive laser beams bombarded the bodies of the two demon kings. Ah! The Shadow Goblin King and the Shark Goblin King couldn't help but let out shrill screams. The laser cannons instantly pierced through their bodies, causing large amounts of blood to splatter out and drip onto the surface of the sea. The air was filled with a burning smell. What? They're not dead. Xia Ping, who was in the ship, immediately sensed through the AI's detection system that although the Shadow Goblin King and the Shark Demon King had suffered such a fierce blow, they were not fatally wounded. They were worthy of being Fulfillment Realm Kings. They knew that they could not dodge all the damage, so they circulated their magic power and avoided the vital parts. This reduced the huge loss. Although the injuries looked shocking and there was a lot of blood flowing out, for a monster king with a strong vitality, as long as it was not a fatal injury, it was not a big deal. Since you're not dead, I'll continue to send you to the afterlife. Xia Ping immediately gave an order to the spaceship to launch a blanket attack on the two heavily injured demon kings. If he couldn't kill them once, then he wouldn't be able to kill them twice, thrice, or even 4 times. He didn't believe that he couldn't kill these two severely injured demon kings. Especially the Shadow Goblin King. This fellow had actually tried to assassinate him on the battlefield. If not for the fact that he was wearing the universal defense suit, the Shadow Goblin King would have succeeded. As the saying went, it was impolite not to reciprocate. Shadow Demon King had killed him once, so he wanted to kill Shadow Demon King once more and send him to heaven. It's over. Shark Monster Monarch's hair stood on end. He had just dodged a saturated attack, yet it had already taken his life. If it happened again, he would have to give up his life in this place. Previously, it was still complacent and wanted to infiltrate the giant island to kill Xia Ping and take revenge. But now, it hadn't even entered the giant island, and it had already been ambushed by Xia Ping and attacked crazily. This was truly a case of dying before achieving victory. Even a hero would be filled with tears. Shark Monster Monarch could imagine that if he really died at Xia Ping's hands, he would probably become the laughingstock of countless demon kings. He would become a negative example and be mocked day and night. Human Xia Ping, just you wait. This king isn't finished with you. At this moment, the Shadow Goblin King's hair also stood on end. The saturated attack just now had almost taken his life. If he continued to stay here, he would die without a doubt. He had never imagined that there would be a day when he would be forced to such a state by a mere human grandmaster. He was actually facing a life-and-death crisis. If he had been a step slower, he would have died. Shadow Goblin's secret technique, fulgurating shadows. The Shadow Goblin King roared. He immediately ignited his bloodline and activated the innate mystique of the Shadow Goblin race. In an instant, his entire body transformed into a black shadow. It was as though he was formed by a black fog. It was formless and formless like a void. Rumble, immediately the black fog enveloped the Shark Goblin King. His speed increased countless times as though he had mastered the spatial leap technique. In an instant, he escaped from the battlefield and fled more than 10 kilometers away. Bang bang bang. At this moment, a large number of laser cannons bombarded the area. Countless reefs on the surface of the sea were blasted into smithereens. At the same time, the power of the explosions shook the sea. Waves surged, and the tyrannical shockwaves set off shocking tsunamis that were dozens of meters high. They immediately drowned more than 10 islands in the vicinity. Seeing such terrifying power, the two great demon kings, the Shark Goblin King and the Shadow Goblin King, were scared half to death. Their hearts trembled in fear. Like rabbits, they frantically fled into the distance without looking back. This speed could be said to be the fastest they had ever been in their lives. They did not care that they were still seriously injured and coughed up blood from time to time. In any case, they just wanted to escape the range of Xia Ping's cannons. They looked like stray dogs with their tails between their legs. They no longer had the awe-inspiring appearance of a demon king. Escaped. Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. He did not expect the Shadow Goblin King to have such a secret technique. He could escape the battlefield in an instant. As expected of the 10,000 Demon Mountains' most difficult demon king to kill. He was the spy who controlled the 10,000 Demon Mountains intelligence network. Although his combat power was not considered the strongest demon king of the 10,000 Demon Mountain, his ability to escape was comparable to an unrivaled demon king. It was too difficult to kill the Shadow Goblin King. Forget it. If he escaped, he escaped. I'll kill him next time when I have the chance. Xia Ping did not care much. This ambush was actually a spur-of-the-moment idea. He also knew that doing such a thing in the Shark Goblin race's territory would definitely incur the wrath of the Shark Goblin King. Perhaps the Shark Goblin King would rush back to deal with this matter. This way the Shark Goblin King might be alone. With the help of the Moon God, it was not impossible to kill an ordinary demon king. Therefore he did not return to the giant island immediately. Instead he chose to fly to the giant island. He chose to lie in ambush on an uninhabited island, waiting for the best opportunity to assassinate the Shark Goblin King. In the end, Xia Ping had really waited for this opportunity. Unfortunately, the Shadow Goblin King and the Shark Goblin King were not ordinary demon kings. They were high-grade demon kings. Their strength was not to be underestimated. There were no ceiling arrays in the surroundings. It could not stop the two demon kings from leaving. In the end, it was all for naught. However, now that he had severely injured the two demon kings, they would not be able to cause any trouble in the short term. They could only obediently recuperate. If they did not know death and dared to show themselves again, he would kill them again. Chapter 9:11. At this moment in the underwater city, Shark Goblin King and Shadow Goblin King hurriedly returned to the palace. At this time they could not hold it in any longer. They coughed up a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground, bloody and feeble. In order to escape Xia Ping's pursuit, the two Goblin Kings had suppressed their injuries. Now that they were safe, they could not hold it in any longer and their injuries flared up. But fortunately their injuries were not fatal. As long as they rested for a while and consumed spirit medicine, they would naturally recover. Many of the Shark Goblin guards were shocked to see the two Goblin Kings return, and with serious injuries at that. Some of the Shark Goblin guards were stunned, asking, "King, didn't you go to kill the human Xia Ping? How did you return so quickly? And in this state?" They were all stupefied. Was this still the infamous Shark Demon King? He was no different from a stray dog. They had never seen the Shark Goblin King in such a sorry state. After all, this was a Goblin King. Not just anyone could defeat him. According to the plan, but sometimes the plan does not go according to the plan. Who would have thought that the despicable Xia Ping would ambush us, piloting a super warship and firing from the shadows, crippling this king and brother Shadow Goblin? The Shark Goblin King's face was red with anger. If not for the fact that the two of us ran fast, we would have died. Thinking back to what had happened, he still had lingering fears. Luckily, Shadow Goblin King had a life-saving godly technique. Otherwise, he would have died in Xia Ping's ambush. That human's technology was too terrifying. He was only a grandmaster, but he could kill a Goblin King with high-tech weapons. It was too illogical. Shadow Goblin King had the same thoughts. He gritted his teeth in hatred. This was the greatest humiliation of his life. As the head spy and schemer of Myriad Demon Mountain, he had toyed with the hearts of countless people and often played dirty in the dark. Who would have thought that he would meet a ghost at night? In a moment of carelessness, he had fallen into a fatal trap set by that human and was almost killed. This was the greatest crisis of his life, and he had even been forced to use his race mystique. Such injuries would probably take at least half a year to recover. What? Many of the Shark Demon guards were stunned. They had not expected this human to be so savage. He had almost killed the Shark Demon King and the Shadow Demon King together. He was truly savage. Moreover, his king still had a lingering fear in his heart. He rejoiced that he had run away quickly, or else he would have been finished. From this, one could see how sinister and despicable that human Xia Ping was. Despicable humans setting up traps on the way. No wonder they always say that humans are treacherous and shameless, and that we absolutely cannot believe anything that humans say. This is very reasonable. What audacity! He even dares to ambush a monster king. Is he tired of living? Why wouldn't he dare? He even kidnapped the mermaid princess. He's as bold as a whale. That's right. That human is too savage. He dares to do anything. He's done so many immoral things. I curse him to not have PI eyes when he gives birth to a son. No, curse his little brother to become smaller and smaller, to become a mung bean, no, a needle. Many of the Shark Demon guards gnashed their teeth in hatred. They cursed Xia Ping, viciously cursing him. They simply hated this human to the bone. What did you say? At first, the Shark Demon King was still listening to his subordinates, but when he heard the middle part, his eyes popped out. The mermaid princess was kidnapped by this human? When did this happen? He was very shocked because he had not heard this news before. Because this is a serious matter, we temporarily did not report it to you. We wanted to wait until your majesty returned to the palace. We did not expect your majesty to leave so soon after returning, so we did not have time to report it. One of the Shark Demon guards lowered his head and said guiltily. In fact, because this matter was so serious, he did not know how to say it. After all, that was the mermaid princess, the daughter of the mermaid king. Now, she had been kidnapped by a human in the Shark Demon race's city. The consequences were obvious. Shut up. With a bang, the Shark Demon King slapped out, instantly sending the shark demon flying a few kilometers away. He smashed into a thick wall far away, his nostrils fuming. Are you fucking stupid? The mermaid princess has been kidnapped. This is a big matter, even more terrifying than the palace being robbed. You fucking didn't have time to tell me. Speak, are you trying to kill me? Are you trying to get the Mermaid King to personally kill me so that he can usurp the throne and become the Shark Demon King himself? He was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. He wanted nothing more than to kill these heartless subordinates. If he had lost a lot of money when the palace was robbed, he could still earn it back. In any case, he was the Shark Demon King with millions of subordinates. Sooner or later, he would be able to accumulate a lot of treasures. But now, the Mermaid Princess had disappeared in his territory. This was a fatal matter. Who didn't know that the Mermaid Princess was the Mermaid King's most precious daughter? She was known as the Pearl of the Endless Sea and was doted on by all. She was really cold in one's hands and melted in one's mouth. Such a noble Mermaid Princess had actually been kidnapped by a human in his territory. If the Mermaid King was enraged, he would definitely take his little life. Right now, he wanted nothing more than to kill these stupid subordinates dozens of times. Sorry, Your Majesty. Many of the Shark Demon guards did not dare to speak. They all lowered their heads. What's the point of having a majesty if an apology is useful? If you are so fucking capable, why don't you apologize to the Mermaid King? Let's see if he will forgive you. The Shark Demon King clenched his fists. He was so angry that his entire body was trembling. It was almost unable to control itself. Originally, it was already a bit seriously injured, but after being enraged, it seemed to have become a bit more serious, and its blood and chi were boiling. Brother Shark Demon, this might not be a bad thing, the Shadow Demon King suddenly said. The Shark Demon King was still fuming. Hearing the intelligent Shadow Demon King speak, he hurriedly asked, Brother Shadow Demon, what do you mean by that? Actually, this matter is all that human Xiaoping's fault. As long as we push the blame on him, it will be fine. Even if the Mermaid King wants to be angry, he will find trouble with that human. He will not find trouble with Brother Shark Demon. The Shadow Demon King's eyes flashed. It just so happens that Brother Shark Demon's palace was robbed and he was ambushed. He was severely injured by that human. This is all irrefutable evidence. It is enough to prove that human is vicious, cunning, evil, and cruel. As long as we spread this news and create public opinion, I believe that the Mermaid King will not blame you. He wanted to add fuel to the fire. Spread this news? The Shark Demon King hesitated for a moment. This was a family scandal. As the saying goes, family scandals should not be spread. If this spread, wouldn't he become the laughing stock of many demon kings in the boundless sea? Brother Shark Demon, do you want to die under the Mermaid King's wrath, or do you want your reputation? Think about it carefully, the Shadow Demon King reminded him without batting an eyelid. You're right. If I want my life, I can't want my reputation. Chapter 9:12. Late at night, the moonlight flowed like water. Xiaoping piloted the moon god ship and directly descended into the villa on the giant island. He then brought Yuchichi out and returned to the main villa. At this time, Suji, Jianghu, and the rest heard the sound of the ship and walked out to see what was going on. Who is this woman? The moment they saw Yuchichi, Jianghu and Suji were shocked. Her noble aura could not be concealed at all. It was as if she was a natural princess, high and mighty. She also had an unparalleled appearance. Even as a woman, she was extremely breathtaking. It was as if the moon in the sky had lost its luster, causing others to feel ashamed of their inferiority. This wolf, he brought another woman home. Suji bit her lips, inwardly despising this man's flirtatious ways. The women around him were simply endless, one after another, and each more beautiful than the last. Did he not know what single-mindedness meant? Shameless scum. She is the Mermaid Princess Yuchichi. Not long ago, I went to the underwater city and invited her to be my guest. Xiaoping introduced Yuchichi. Guessed my ass. Yuchichi's beautiful eyes were spitting fire. She wanted nothing more than to bite this shameless human to death. He had clearly kidnapped her, and without any explanation, he even said that he invited her to be his guest. Who invited people like this? But after spending some time with this human, she knew that he was very clever. He did not care about her identity as a mermaid princess, and even killed a demon king. He was simply unrestrained and lawless. If she offended this human, even if she was a mermaid princess, this hateful man would not have any scruples. Therefore, she did not dare to offend this thick-skinned human for the time being. Mermaid princess? Invited over as a guest. Hearing this, Jianghu and Suji's bodies trembled. They never thought that this beautiful woman was actually a princess, and a princess of the mermaid kingdom at that. No wonder she was so beautiful. Her beauty was out of this world, and she had a noble aura that ordinary men could not even get close to. It was as if talking to her was blasphemy. However, the two intelligent women did not believe that Xia Ping would invite Yuchichi over as a guest. How could they not see that there was something fishy between the two? If he was really here as a guest, he would be very excited and happy. How could he be like this? The mermaid princess looked like she wanted to eat Xia Pingxing alive. Her eyes were about to spit fire. Even if they used their knees to think, they knew that this detestable man must have used some despicable and shameless method to forcefully invite the mermaid princess and capture her from the underwater world. This was also in line with this shameless man's personality. If soft tactics didn't work, he would use hard tactics. If words didn't work, he would just knock them out. Moreover, this fellow also had a criminal record. Previously, in the Sky Demon battlefield, this bastard had risked universal condemnation by capturing several demon monarch descendants. He had even dared to auction them in public and extorted the wealth of several demon monarchs, causing a sensation in the world. This bastard was probably planning to return to his old profession. Why did you go to the underwater city? Wasn't there a war with the sirens recently? You still have time to wander around? Jianghu asked. Xia Ping rubbed his chin. It's precisely because of the war that I had the opportunity to wander around the underwater city. As expected, their internal defenses were weak and without any defensive measures. In the end, I took advantage of the situation and plundered a lot of treasures. I even took the treasures of the Shark Demon King's palace along the way. He was immensely proud of himself. He immediately moved a lot of treasures down from the ship, which immediately glittered with golden light. Jianghu, Suji, and the others felt as if they had entered a treasure vault. Look, this is the Shark Demon King's deep-sea frigid jade bed. Sleeping on it won't cause any insomnia, and it can even nourish your body. These are the tables and chairs in his palace. They are all made of precious wood. They can't be found in the human world. Even in the underwater world, they are rare and valuable materials. And these are the deep-sea spirit liquid. They are all part of the Shark Demon King's collection. There is so much of it that it can be used for bathing. As for gold, silver, jewelry, and deep-sea pearls, there are simply too many of them. I can't even count them all, so they are all here. Xia Ping introduced his spoils of war one by one. Suji and Jianghu's mouths twitched. Right now, they didn't feel as if they had appeared in a treasure vault but a den of bandits, listening to how the bandit boss was going to divide the spoils. Suddenly, Xia Ping's brows twitched. This was because he sensed several terrifying auras coming from afar. They condensed and materialized, appearing outside the villa. Ding dong, very soon the doorbell rang, and a virtual projection appeared before Xia Ping. Immediately, the figures of several middle-aged men appeared. They were the kings of the giant corporation. The one in the lead was the king Zhao Zhong. When they heard the news of Xia Ping's return, they also knew that Xia Ping had just returned from the underwater city. Hence, they hurriedly rushed over. After all, this matter was of great importance and couldn't be underestimated. Come in. Xia Ping gave the order, letting the villa's AI open the door and letting the kings in. So. Zhao Zhong and the other human kings immediately entered and came before Xia Ping. How is it? We just returned from the underwater city. Are you all right? Zhao Zhong said in a deep voice. You are still too rash. That place is the base camp of the underwater demons. If anything happens to you, it will be too late for regrets. He looked at Xia Ping with a solemn expression. I'm fine. How can those demons do anything to me? My harvest this time is quite bountiful. Xia Ping expressed that not only was he fine, but he had also obtained a large amount of spoils of war. These are your spoils? Zhao Zhong and the other kings immediately saw the densely packed treasures in the living room. The jewels were so dazzling that they nearly blinded their eyes. There was a feeling of overwhelming wealth. That's right. Xia Ping nodded and briefly explained his experience in this mission. Fuck, it can't be, right? You emptied out the entire treasure vault of the Shark Demon King's palace and still want to plunder everything. My god, this is the mermaid princess? You even kidnapped the mermaid princess? You must be joking. You actually dared to set up an ambush on the way back and used the moon god ship. You even nearly killed the Shark Demon King and the Shadow Demon King. Now they are in a miserable state and won't be able to fight for half a year. Upon hearing Xia Ping's words, Zhao Zhong and the other kings were so shocked that their jaws dropped. It was as though they had heard a fantasy story. This was because every piece of news was world-shaking and could shake the human world and the underwater world. Chapter 9:13. After a while, Zhao Zhong and the other kings came to their senses. Seeing that the mermaid princess Yuqiqi was also here, as well as the large amount of treasures on the ground, they finally believed that Xia Ping had really done something earth-shattering. Even though they knew that Xia Ping was planning to attack the underwater city and create some trouble for the sea demons, they did not expect him to do something so shocking. Not to mention the fact that he had seriously injured the Shark Demon King and looted all the treasures in the palace. Just the kidnapping of the mermaid princess was enough to give them a headache. After all, the mermaid king was an invincible king with countless subordinates. He was the emperor of the sea and was definitely not to be underestimated. If the mermaid king was angered, it would be a real disaster. This war was just a child's play. After all, the invincible king had not been used, so it was not a battle of life and death. However, since it had happened, there was nothing they could do. Fortunately, nothing had happened to the mermaid princess. She was just invited back by Xia Ping as a guest. It was just that this method was a little too forceful. Well, what do you want to do? Zhao Zhong looked at Xia Ping. He took a deep breath and reluctantly accepted the shock of this news. At present, this was very advantageous to humans. The two demon kings, the Shark Demon King and the Shadow Demon King, were seriously injured, and the rear was unstable. It was estimated that the Demon King coalition army would not be able to continue. If this was the case, the Sea Demon Coalition army could be said to have collapsed without any attack. Help me sell these treasures. I want to exchange them all for some materials. Xia Ping stated his request. After getting these treasures, what he wanted to do most was to modify the moon god and make it stronger. Okay, no problem. Zhao Zhong nodded and agreed. After all, it was a piece of cake. After saying that, he left in a hurry with several kings. After all, this matter was too big, and it would affect a series of tactical arrangements in the future. They had to hold a meeting and let the think tank come up with a good plan. Seeing that the kings had left, Xia Ping also arranged for Yuqiqi's accommodation. The mermaid princess was temporarily under house arrest in this place, and he could not let her leave for the time being. No matter what, he still wanted to use the mermaid princess to gain a lot of hatred. This time, I have to break through to the 6th level of supreme power. Xia Ping clenched his fists. This time he had obtained a large number of elixirs and spiritual liquids from the Shark Demon King, which could greatly improve his Jianghu cultivation and help him break through to the 6th level of the supreme power realm. It should not be difficult and he could save a lot of cultivation time. He turned around and walked towards the quiet room, intending to cultivate in seclusion. Facing enemies that were becoming more and more powerful, he had to become stronger as well. Otherwise, if he were to provoke an invincible king in the future, he might not even be able to escape. Moreover, if one wanted to survive in the universe, the Grandmaster realm was still too weak. At the very least, one had to enter the king realm before one would have a slight qualification to survive in the universe. After a day. Because the Shark Demon King added fuel to the fire, he shamelessly borrowed the power of the Shark Demon clan to spread the news that the mermaid princess had been kidnapped by the human Xia Ping to the major clans of the Endless Sea. He even told them that his palace had been robbed and that countless treasures had been stolen. Instantly, countless monsters were shocked. This was a big event that could shake the Endless Sea. First was the allied army of the Shark Demon King. After all, they had been in a standoff with the giant island for a few days with many casualties on both sides. Now that they were still at war, they were naturally very concerned about this matter. Damn, that human is really ruthless. He actually ransacked the entire Shark Demon King's palace. I heard that the Shark Demon King's palace was in a miserable state. It was like plucking a goose's feather. That herb garden was dug 3 feet deep and even the soil was dug out. I heard that the palace's treasury was also in a miserable state. The treasures were plundered so thoroughly that even a mouse wouldn't be able to enter. Previously, the Shark Demon King was as rich as a country and could be said to be a super tycoon in the Endless Sea. He was always showing off. Now he can't show off anymore. He suddenly went bankrupt and became a pauper. The difference between a tycoon and a pauper is only one Xia Ping. That shameless human thief. Moreover, that human is ruthless. He purposely ambushed the Shark Demon King in the Endless Sea. Relying on that super warship, he attacked the Shark Demon King and the Shadow Demon King, severely injuring them in an instant. He risked his life to run back. Is that for real? Is that super warship really that terrifying? It can even kill demon kings? You didn't see the tragic state of the Shark Demon King and the Shadow Demon King. I want to take a look yesterday. The two demon kings are still lying on their sickbeds. Their bodies are wrapped in white bandages like mummies. They can't move at all. Such injuries can't be faked. That damn human Xiaoping. He actually committed such an evil deed. He deserves to be executed. Many demon kings gritted their teeth. They hated Xiaoping to the core. Although the ones in trouble were not them but the Shark Demon King, they could empathize with him. Now that something had happened to the Shadow Demon King and the Shark Demon King, the loss of two major combat forces would have a huge impact on the Demon King coalition army. Report. Suddenly, a sea serpent guard rushed in. A scout reported that a mysterious black shadow has appeared in our sea serpent race's city. It's acting suspiciously. It's suspected to be the thief Xiaoping's warship. I hope the king can make a decision. What? The sea serpent king jumped in fright. He shuddered and his face turned pale. He shouted, "Fuck! That shameless human is actually eyeing the treasures of our sea serpent race. This human deserves to die. He really deserves to die." His face turned green. The sea serpent race's city and the shark demon race's city weren't that far apart. In fact, they might even be inferior. Since that human thief could infiltrate the shark demon race without anyone noticing, he could naturally infiltrate the sea serpent race as well. There was no doubt about it. Thinking that their sea serpent race might also encounter the nightmare of the shark demon race, the sea serpent king shuddered. He didn't want his nest to be swept clean by that shameless thief. From a super rich man to a pauper, the shark demon king alone was enough. He didn't want another one. Is that for real? Are you sure that's the human Xiaoping's warship? Not some other deep-sea creature passing by? A demon king questioned. Was there a mistake? Why was he acting so suspiciously? This. The sea serpent guard hesitated for a moment. There's news that there's indeed a shadow similar to a deep-sea monster. After all, the deep sea is pitch black and we can't see anything. However, the king told us that we have to report to him if there's any movement, so we're here. Why don't we wait a little longer and report to the king after the exact news comes out? He looked at the sea serpent king. Fuck, you're waiting. Hearing this, the sea serpent king cursed. Wait a little longer. The entire house has been emptied by that human thief. What are we waiting for? Cut the crap and go back to look after the house. It was no wonder that the sea serpent king was so nervous. The lesson of the shark demon king was too painful. It was a lesson that was still vivid in his mind. Chapter 9:14. Report, something that looks like a human has appeared near the prawn demon city. Oh no, our crab demon city might also have traces of human battleships. It might be Xiaoping. King, something that looks like Xiaoping has also appeared near the octopus race. When the sea serpent guard appeared, it was followed by the guards of the various races. They all rushed over to report the news to the various monster kings. All of them looked extremely panicked as if they were facing a great enemy. What? When the monster kings, who were originally very calm, heard this news, all of them were scared half to death. They jumped out of their seats on the spot, their faces were half green, and their hearts were trembling with fear. Damn it. Bastard. Bitch. One by one the monster kings cursed. They never thought that Xiaoping would dare to appear in their race's underwater city. Was he not satisfied with plundering the shark demon race? Did he want to plunder them one by one? Everyone, don't be nervous. It might be a misunderstanding. After all, information can be wrong. No matter how powerful that human is, he can't possibly know how to clone himself and appear in so many places at the same time. A monster king stood up, hoping that everyone would calm down and not be affected by the wrong information. Although that's true, the problem is who knows which city that brat will visit. If he visits our race's city because of a moment of carelessness, are you going to compensate for the loss? The prawn demon king sneered. They weren't idiots. Of course, they knew that Xiaoping couldn't appear in every city. 90% of the information was fake. The problem was that even if the information was fake, they were still very nervous. Who knew if the unlucky bastard was them? It was better to be safe than sorry. They still felt that returning to the underwater city and presiding over the palace to prevent the human thief from plundering the treasures was the best course of action. This was because the Shark Demon King's encounter was too terrifying. No one wanted to become the second Shark Demon King. But if you all leave, what will happen to our alliance? You should know that we are still in a war with the humans. A monster king said, feeling very conflicted. Shark Demon Monarch is already heavily injured. His backbone is gone, so what's the point of fighting? Since we can't win if we continue fighting, we might as well disband. Pack your bags and return home. This king doesn't wish to accompany you any longer. The Prawn Demon King sneered. Originally, he thought that with the alliance of so many demon kings, breaking through the giant island would be a piece of cake. At that time, he would be able to plunder the giant island and obtain a large amount of treasures. Who would have thought that 3,000 Grandmaster-level demons would die at the very beginning? They were forced to retreat by the humans. They didn't even get close to the edge of the giant island, suffering heavy losses. Now, even their backbone, the Shark Demon Monarch, had been severely injured. What hope did they have to break through the giant island? Since they couldn't break through, staying here was a waste of effort and the strength of their race. On top of that, there was also the threat of Xia Ping, the human thief, who could attack their rear at any time and plunder their life savings, making them feel uneasy. Under such circumstances, how could they fight? Even if they wanted to, they wouldn't be able to win. The moment the Shark Demon Monarch said this, the other demon kings heaved a sigh of relief. Since there were demon kings who wanted to give up, they could also do the same. They didn't need to worry about being blamed by the Shark Demon Monarch. After all, they had truly underestimated the strength of the humans this time. It was just an island, and it wasn't something that the demon kings could break through. The strength of the humans was unfathomable. That night, the allied demon kings quickly retreated. Their main camp was empty, and they all returned to their respective races' encampments. This was to prevent the little thief Xia Ping from visiting their royal palaces. This news was also quickly transmitted back to the headquarters of the giant corporation. This caused many human demon kings to be stunned. They didn't know why the demon kings had suddenly retreated overnight. It was extremely strange. However, this was naturally a good thing for the giant island. They didn't need to worry about too many casualties. The news that the mermaid princess had been kidnapped by the human Xia Ping had also spread throughout the Endless Sea. Many geniuses of powerful races learned of this, and they were all furious. This was because Yu Qiqi was the pearl of the Endless Sea. In the Endless Sea, she could be considered a goddess-like idol. Who knew how many pursuers she had? It could be said that the geniuses of various races had either pursued her or admired her. Now, such a goddess had actually been kidnapped by a despicable and shameless human. One could imagine the fury in their hearts. Heavens punished the human Xia Ping. He actually dared to kidnap the mermaid princess. He truly deserves to die. Is the Shark Demon King an idiot? Such a big city with so many guards can't even defend against a puny human? The Shark Demon race is indeed rotten on the inside. They look very powerful, but they're actually useless. I heard that the Shark Demon King was seriously injured by this human. He's even wrapped up into a mummy and can't move. Heavens, he's simply trash. A dignified demon king was actually beaten to this state by a puny human grandmaster. He was even seriously injured and turned into a mummy. Doesn't he feel ashamed? He's long lost all his face. Even the royal palace's treasury has been casually entered by that human. He's wantonly plundered everything. He's suddenly become a pauper. Even a mouse wouldn't want to enter the royal palace. Kill our way to the giant island immediately and rescue the mermaid princess. The sooner the better. It is said that the human Xia Ping is shameless and extremely preposterous. He is famous in the human race. Now that the mermaid princess has fallen into his hands, who knows what will happen? It can't be. That bastard human dares to blaspheme the mermaid princess. I'll take his life. I won't rest until he's dead. What's the point of saying that? Maybe this shameless human couldn't hold back the beast in his heart. All the geniuses from the various races were in an uproar. All of them were enraged, especially some of the pursuers. They even disregarded their own safety and wanted to leave the giant island to rescue the mermaid princess. At this moment, Xia Ping was like a big evil dragon in a fairy tale. He broke into the palace, plundered the palace treasury, and took away the beautiful princess. As a result, countless brave warriors attacked him. After this news spread, it was said that the prince of the sea dragon race, Hai Peng, personally took action. He led his army and stirred up a storm. He transformed into a sea dragon and set out for the giant island, swearing to rescue the mermaid princess. The eldest prince of the whale race, Jing Zhantian, was also enraged. He transformed into a 1,000-meter-long whale. He was like a colossus as he led the army of the whale race. Other than that, there were also princes of the seal race, the cuttlefish race, and the seagull race. They all expressed that they would severely punish the murderer. The human Xia Ping would not rest until the mermaid princess was rescued. Chapter 9:15. At this moment, in an extremely luxurious palace in the Mermaid Kingdom, many mermaid princesses and princes were gathered in a garden in the palace. Sitting in the middle was the Mermaid King. He wore ordinary casual clothes and sat on a chair with a kind face. He looked like an ordinary old man with white hair and a beard. He was the kind that would be hard to find in a crowd. However, no one dared to ignore this old man. This was the king of the sea who had dominated the endless sea for 1,000 years. His hands were stained with blood, and he had slaughtered countless races to establish the glory of the Mermaid Kingdom. Although he was low-key now, once he was angry the entire endless sea would tremble, and billions of sea demons would die. For 1,000 years, all the wars between the sea races had been started by the Mermaid King. "Father, something has happened to little sister. She was kidnapped by a shameless human. She's in grave danger," a mermaid prince said anxiously as he looked at his father. "That's right. Little sister is as pure as ice and as clean as jade. Now that she's in the hands of that shameless human, you can imagine what will happen. Father, immediately send troops to the giant island and exterminate those humans. Kill that human Xia Ping as a warning to others." "That's right. As long as father gives the order, I promise to be a soldier without hesitation." Many princes and princesses gritted their teeth. Yuchichi was the youngest sister among them, and she was doted on endlessly. She could be called the pearl of their palms and she was very popular. Now that this cute little sister had been kidnapped by a human, who knew what kind of treatment she would receive? Thinking of this, they could not bear it anymore. They immediately joined forces to find the Mermaid King, hoping that he could send troops to the giant island and rescue their little sister. "There's no rush." The Mermaid King smiled faintly and said 2 words. "Father, how can there be no rush? Little sister has been kidnapped by a human. How can there be no rush?" The first mermaid prince immediately said anxiously. He did not understand and felt that his father was not normal. In the past, his father would have been enraged when his little sister was kidnapped, and he would personally exterminate the enemy, leaving nothing behind. "I've already contacted my human friends. Little Chi is fine for now. She's just going to a human city as a guest, so there's no need to worry," the Mermaid King said. It explained very clearly. If it were a normal thief who did not know of the Mermaid King's reputation, he might be worried that the other party would do something bad to Yuchichi. After all, these thieves did not know what was important and their lives were worthless. If it was an enemy race that had a blood feud with the merfolk, they might use Yuchichi to threaten the merfolk king, which would naturally make the merfolk king extremely nervous. But the other party was a human, and the mermaid race was on good terms with the human race. The relationship with the mermaid race was C. Therefore, the Mermaid King was not worried that the humans would use this matter to antagonize the mermaid clan. This was an extremely foolish behavior. Mary E. King and you sister, King, and C. King, Ming, I King, Maid King, even if her safety was not a problem, they were still worried that Yuchichi would be mistreated. "I spoil little Chi too much," the Mermaid King said. "She's always disobedient. This is a good chance to teach her a lesson about the dangers of the world," the Mermaid King said. "This way she'll know my good intentions." He wanted to use this to teach Yuchichi a lesson. Hearing this, the other mermaid princes and princesses were speechless. Their father had already decided, and no matter how much they objected, it would be useless. They could only hope that their little sister would not be mistreated too much in the human world. It was not just the deep sea realm. The human world was also in an uproar because of this news. In this age of the internet, the slightest disturbance would cause a huge commotion on the internet. Even if someone wanted to hide it, it would be very difficult. Big news. The champion of the Genius Tournament, Xia Ping, has snuck into the deep sea realm and captured the mermaid princess. This news immediately spread throughout the Cloud Realm's internet, and was pushed to countless people. No way. Didn't that bastard just auction off a group of demon geniuses? Now he's even targeting the mermaid princess. Beast, he won't even let the fishes go. It's said that the mermaid princess beauty is unparalleled, and she's known as the pearl of the endless sea. She has countless suitors, and even some of our human geniuses have pursued her. Of course, the beauty of the mermaids is unparalleled, and the mermaid princess is the best of the best. Some people say that if one marries the mermaid princess, he will reach the heavens in a single step. He might even be favored by the Mermaid King, and his future will be limitless. Is that why this bastard captured the mermaid princess on purpose? Is he trying to become the Mermaid King's son-in-law and reach the heavens in a single step? What a scumbag. Instead of working hard, he thinks of all these crooked ways. He wants to hug his father-in-law's thigh and reach the heavens in a single step. Shameless to the extreme. The mermaid princess won't be interested in a man like this. That's right. The mermaid princess has seen all kinds of men and geniuses. Her standards are immeasurably high. Such a pretty boy wants to woo the mermaid princess? He must be dreaming. I'm just afraid that this brat will force himself on her. When he has a child, the mermaid princess won't be able to escape. What a beast. How can he think of such an idea? Many people were envious, jealous, and gnashing their teeth. It can't be. Doesn't he already have Qiushu and Su Mei, the two female kings? How dare he go out and fool around? Isn't he afraid of being hunted down by the two angry queens? Someone questioned. What is this? Is the number of women he has fooled around with few? I can't even count them all. Indeed. I guess Qiushu and Su Mei already know this scumbag's character. No way. They are still willing to be together. What kind of charm does this brat have? Charm my ass. I don't see any charm in him from head to toe. There must be something on him. Otherwise this wouldn't have happened. It's impossible for the harem to live in harmony. Something on him? What is it? Maybe he threatened these beauties to take nude photos and all kinds of evil videos. If they didn't obey this scumbag's orders, he would put them on the internet and ruin their reputation. So they could only swallow their anger and let this man bully them without saying anything. This conjecture is very logical and very reasonable. Chapter 9:16. And at this moment, on a certain sacred mountain in the Thousand Demon Mountain, the base of the rabbit demon race. In one of the schools, many rabbit race demons were studying here. Do you understand? Remember him. You must remember this great demon king of the human race. A beautiful rabbit race girl was very agitated. She pointed at a portrait on the blackboard. This portrait was of Xia Ping. If you are disobedient, you will be captured by this great demon king of the human race. Just like the mermaid princess, you will be captured and disemboweled. You might even be roasted and eaten raw. That scene is rather cruel. She stood on the podium and taught a class to a group of rabbits, lolas, and young boys. This beautiful rabbit race girl was obviously Tu Linglong. For Tu Linglong, who had already advanced to the Grandmaster level, it was more than enough for her to teach these little demons. Teacher Linglong, is this human really that scary? A rabbit race Lolita asked timidly. Tu Linglong nodded her head forcefully. Of course he is. This great demon king does all kinds of evil and is willing to do anything. It's easy to do bad things, but it's difficult to do bad things for the rest of his life. This great demon king of the human race is like that. He has done all kinds of bad things. It can be said that if he doesn't do bad things, he will feel uncomfortable. He appears when the sky is dark. He has black wings, a green face, and sharp fangs. He comes and goes like the wind. He often captures those disobedient children who don't take their lessons seriously, are often mischievous, and don't sleep at night. The moment this was said, many children were frightened. Wawa, I'm doomed. I often sleep in during lessons and I'm disobedient. I am picky. I even talked back to mommy today. Woohoo, I'm going to be captured. I even wet my bed at night. This great demon king of the human race will come to capture me at night. We're doomed, teacher. We're all doomed. We're going to be eaten by the demon king of the human race. A group of rabbit demons cried out. They were so frightened that they started crying. Tears welled up in their eyes, and for a moment, the entire classroom was filled with cries. It was like a symphony. Seeing that she had frightened the group of children, Tu Linglong was very satisfied. Alright, don't cry. Anyway, with teacher protecting you, this great demon king of the human race won't succeed. In the future, all of you should listen to me obediently, and this big demon king of the human race will not come and eat you guys up. She gave a stick and gave a sweet date. Really? Teacher, will that human demon king come and eat us? A little rabbit Loli's eyes were completely red, and large droplets of tears were brewing in her eyes as she looked at Tu Linglong with great anticipation. Of course it's true. Who do you think your teacher is? I'm the rabbit race's holy maiden, Tu Linglong. How could a mere great demon king be a match for me? Your teacher can kill him with a single kick. Tu Linglong put her hands on her hips and looked like a queen. In short, if you're obedient, I'll protect you. If you're disobedient, I'll let you be eaten by the great demon king of the human race, Xia Ping. Don't worry, teacher. We will listen to you. That's right, teacher Linglong. We won't sleep in or daydream in class anymore. Teacher, you must protect us. Don't let us be eaten by the demon king of the human race. In the future I won't pee the bed anymore. All the little rabbit Lolas and young boys were scared to the point that they became very obedient. They no longer had the mischievous look they had in class. All of them looked at Tu Linglong with great reverence. Tu Linglong was very pleased when she saw the reverent gazes of these children. She felt that this was the happiest day she had ever since she was captured by Xiaoping. Dong. Right at this moment the classroom door was opened. Then a domineering woman with an extremely perfect figure walked in. She had a powerful aura and arrived before Tu Linglong just like that. Sister Qingwan, why are you here? Tu Linglong looked at this domineering woman in surprise. Qingwan smiled. Have you forgotten? Today is the opening day of the Demon King's path. If you don't head over now you'll be late. If you miss this chance there won't be a next time. It can't be, right? Isn't it tomorrow? Tu Linglong exclaimed. She was completely dumbfounded and even remembered the wrong time. I knew you would remember wrongly. That's why I came to look for you. Let's go. Don't waste time here. Qingwan looked at Tu Linglong dotingly. You also know that there can't be any mistakes in this Demon King's path trial. If you don't advance to Demon King you'll definitely die. So, we must be more careful this time. Tu Linglong nodded seriously. And Sister Qingwan, I understand. This time the opening of the Demon King's path is also something that can't be helped. The speed of human improvement is really too fast, especially that human Xiaoping. In the future he'll definitely be a great enemy of our myriad monster mountain. No, that's not right. He's already a great enemy now. 5 demon kings have died because of him. Qingwan said in a low voice. Old ancestor guessed that according to this speed of improvement, this human might become a king very soon. At that time, no one in the younger generation of our myriad monster mountain will be a match for him. Her gaze was solemn. Even though she had the bloodline of a divine beast and her talent was astonishing, and there were almost no monsters in the entire myriad monster mountain that could surpass her, she didn't know why she kept feeling that this human Xiaoping wasn't simple and would definitely be a great enemy. This seemed to be a kind of throbbing and warning from her bloodline. It was an indescribable reaction between divine beasts. Detestable human thief. Tu Linglong clenched her fist. Ever since she was captured by Xiaoping, she had been thinking about revenge all the time. She wanted to teach that shameless human a lesson and take revenge. However, she heard all kinds of news from Xiaoping. It was said that this human had now been promoted to the 5th heaven of Supreme Power Realm. His progress was so fast that he could already be compared with the older generation. This kind of progress simply made her feel hopeless. She almost had no hope of revenge. Fortunately, there was a trial like the Demon King's path. As long as she passed it, she would become a king. At that time, she would personally teach that shameless human a lesson and let him know the greatness of the Rabbit Clan's holy maiden. Let's go. Qingwan said directly. Okay. Tu Linglong nodded. Then she said goodbye to these little boys and little girls and left the classroom. At this moment, in a certain forbidden area deep in the myriad monster mountain, countless demon kings gathered in this place. Some geniuses of the demon clan also gathered here. The devouring elephant, starlight ghost, metal tiger and so on had all appeared. In the distance there was a black hole sealed by countless inscriptions. It was extremely deep and unfathomable, as if there was a peerless fierce beast living in the depths of the hole. Let's begin. An old demon king suddenly opened his eyes, revealing a terrifying light. It was like a round sun in the night, with a great power that pierced through the sky. There was no doubt that this was an invincible demon king. Yes, Patriarch. Many demon kings nodded. Immediately they placed countless demon stones on the ground. At the same time, they channeled their demonic power and instantly melted these demon stones, transforming them into majestic energy and activating this formation. Rumble, the entire myriad monster mountain was trembling. Countless inscriptions flashed in the distance at the cave entrance. It seemed that a huge formation had risen. Then the sealed entrance seemed to reveal a white light. Soon, a black vortex appeared at the cave entrance. It seemed to lead to an unknown dimensional space. Whoosh, whoosh. Chapter 9:17. At that moment, Xiaoping was cultivating in seclusion in a quiet room in a villa on Giant Island. He did not know that his matter had caused a commotion outside. It was very lively. To Xiaoping, the most important thing was to improve his martial cultivation. Be it wealth or reputation, they were all worldly possessions. What mattered most was his strength. Once he was strong enough, fame and wealth would swarm toward him. At that moment, Xiaoping gently clapped his hands and took out the silver fruits and purple blood ginseng he had obtained from the Shark Demon King's treasury. He placed them in front of him. The air was filled with the rich fragrance of spirit herbs that invigorated one's mind. When ordinary people smelled the fragrance of such spirit herbs, they would be able to expel diseases and prolong their lives. I wonder what the effects of a silver fruit that takes 10 years to bloom, 10 years to bear fruit, and 10 years to ripen will be? Xiaoping picked up a fruit tree and ate it. The silver fruit melted in his mouth. There was no need to chew at all. It seemed to turn into a silver liquid that flowed down his throat and into his stomach, reaching the deepest part of his body. Boom. Xiaoping immediately sensed that the fruit was instantly refined by the stellar energy in his body. It seemed to transform into an extremely cool stream of air that flowed through the countless meridians in his body. This spirit fruit that had absorbed the energy of the deep sea took a full 30 years to ripen. One could imagine how terrifying the medicinal potency contained within the spirit fruit was. It could increase a Grandmaster Realm cultivator's cultivation by several years. Furthermore, it contained gentle yin energy that had a nourishing effect on the human body. It could repair the minute injuries caused by battle and cultivation, allowing one to rapidly recover and evolve, thereby making one's body stronger. How cool! After consuming the silver fruit, Xiaoping felt as though he was in the middle of a sea. He was surrounded by endless seawater, like a newborn baby wrapped in amniotic fluid. At the same time, the stellar energy in his body increased rapidly transforming into large amounts of stellar energy. This was also a very normal thing. Even the Shark Demon King often consumed such fruits. His goal was to increase his dermic powers. It was effective even for monarchs. It was also very useful for grandmasters. Bang, bang, bang. Xiaoping's body trembled as the rapidly increasing stellar energy flowed around his body. It constantly broke through one acupoint after another, giving the stellar energy in his body a new place to contain it. He had broken through 5 or 6 acupoints after consuming just one silver fruit. Still not enough. Continue to take it. Xiaoping consumed another silver fruit and the astral energy within his body rapidly increased. Like fuel, the astral energy within his body circulated furiously. Because of this silver fruit, he had broken through another 4 or 5 acupoints and reached the peak of the supreme power realm at the 5th sky. He felt that the stellar energy in his body was unprecedentedly abundant, like a balloon that was about to burst. He was only a step away from advancing to a new realm. A little bit more. By the way, there seems to be some purple blood ginseng which may have a better effect. Xiaoping wanted to break through to the 6th heaven of supreme power realm in one go. He immediately grabbed a purple blood ginseng, put it in his mouth and began to chew. Crash! This purple blood ginseng was different from ordinary ginseng. When it was placed in Xiaoping's mouth and chewed a little, it actually melted in his mouth and turned into a purple liquid. It really looked like purple blood. So hot, so hot. Xiaoping was shocked. This purple liquid flowed into his mouth, throat, and stomach. He felt that his body seemed to be flowing into molten lava, full of extreme heat and boiling heat. If it weren't for the pure young immortal skill and the constitution of the Golden Crow, he would have been cooked by this purple blood ginseng. This was not a spiritual medicine that ordinary supreme power masters could take. Without reaching a certain realm and having a strong physique, it was estimated that the violent medicinal power would be completely burst. Even the meridians would not be able to bear it and would explode one after another. What a strong medicinal power. It's even more powerful than the silver fruit. Xiaoping was extremely surprised. Although the medicinal power of this purple blood ginseng was very violent, it was far less moderate than the silver fruit, which was suitable for most cultivators. This was a huge drawback. However, it was estimated that because the medicinal power was so violent, the Gangqi it transformed into had also reached an extremely amazing level. The energy contained in it was several times greater than that of the silver fruit. It's really too violent. Xiaoping ran the pure yang immortal skill, forming a vortex in his Dantian Sea of Qi, constantly absorbing and refining the violent medicinal power of the purple blood ginseng. His physique was considered strong, but after taking the purple blood ginseng, he actually felt as if he was cultivating in a world of molten lava. Every cell in his body was almost roasted. The stellar energy transformed by the purple blood ginseng also contained a scorching aura. Like lava, it flowed through every meridian and every cell. This was similar to an ordinary person soaking in a hot spring of 200 or 300 degrees Celsius. He would probably become a roasted pig as soon as he entered. The scorching temperature also rose from the ground, which was scorched black. His skin was red, faintly emitting a red light, and there was a faint red flow of lava. The water in the surroundings also evaporated in an instant, turning into a large amount of water vapor, filling the entire quiet room. Small wisps of flames came out of his 108,000 pores. Although the wisps of flames were small, when thousands of them were stacked together, it would be a huge cluster of flames. If people outside saw the effect of Xiaoping's cultivation, they would definitely be shocked. His whole body was surrounded by flames just like a flame giant. Moreover, these flames seemed to be alive. As Xiaoping breathed regularly, these flames were swallowed back from Xiaoping's nostrils and then released from his pores, forming a mysterious and strange flame cycle. He was like the master of flames. This purple blood ginseng also has the effect of purifying the golden crow of hell bloodline. Xiaoping's eyes lit up. The energy of these purple blood ginseng vibrated in his body and actually resonated with the golden crow of hell bloodline. Immediately, more than a dozen golden crow of hell cells were unsealed and transformed into majestic energy. His muscles, bones, and meridians were further strengthened. Rumble, after an unknown period of time, this lava-like energy in his body turned into a purple dragon, rushing toward the last acupoint and knocking on the door. Dong. There was no doubt that a new acupoint was easily opened. Immediately, the 12 newly opened acupoints condensed into one, echoing each other like 12 shining stars, as if there was a golden crow of hell living in each star. The sixth heaven of supreme power realm. Xiaoping immediately felt that his martial arts cultivation had been promoted to a new realm. He had reached the sixth heaven of supreme power realm, which was already the peak of the intermediate supreme power realm. Chapter 9:18. I can still continue to break through? Xiaoping originally thought that the breakthrough would end when he reached the sixth heaven of the supreme power realm, but the efficacy of the silver fruit and the purple blood ginseng was so strong that it didn't end even when he reached the sixth heaven of the supreme power realm. The lava-like efficacy flowed through countless meridians in his body, turning his whole body into a furnace. The surrounding spiritual qi of heaven and earth poured in through countless pores, forming a vortex of primordial qi. Bang! Bang! The huge gang qi hit the acupoints in his body, and new acupoints were opened one by one. 3 or 4 acupoints were opened at once, greatly increasing the gang qi in his body. It was estimated that he would be able to reach the 7th heaven of the supreme power realm after 7 or 8 more acupoints were opened. He believed that the many elixirs he got from the Shark Demon King were enough for his cultivation, which could greatly shorten the cultivation time. It was not an exaggeration to say that he had advanced by leaps and bounds. The Shark Demon King really gave me a big gift. Xiaoping was very satisfied. If he hadn't gotten so many elixirs from the Shark Demon King's treasure house, it would have taken him several months to reach the 6th heaven of the supreme power realm. However, opening so many acupoints at once, even if his body was strong, he couldn't stand it. It seemed that he had consumed too much energy. If he continued, it might damage his martial arts foundation. Therefore, even if Xiaoping had the hope to continue to break through, he was not in a hurry. After his martial arts cultivation was completely stabilized, he would continue to try to open acupoints and break through to the 7th heaven of the supreme power realm as soon as possible. 3 days later, he finally ended his closed-door cultivation. He integrated the power of the 6th heaven of the supreme power realm and completely used it for his own use. His essence, qi, and spirit were unified, and he had an unprecedented strength. Xiaoping felt that he was more skilled in controlling the gang qi. He could transform the gang qi into weapons of various shapes at will, which were extremely sharp and indestructible. He casually grabbed and turned the gang qi into a needle. With a wave of his hand, the needle instantly penetrated the titanium alloy wall opposite him. It was extremely sharp like a divine needle. It was said that when one reached the advanced supreme power realm, the control of the gang qi would be even more terrifying. They could endow the gang qi with a trace of spirituality. This gang qi could transform into all kinds of fierce beasts or even humanoid gang qi with infinite power. After a while, maybe I can try to break through to the 7th heaven of the supreme power realm. Xiaoping clenched his fists. The gang qi in his body was full and contained terrible power. The air around him was crackling. DD. At this moment, the system's voice came over. Congratulations to the host for coming out of seclusion. During this period of time, the host has gained a lot of hatred, a total of 130 million hatred points. I hope to continue to work hard. Previously, when Xiaoping was in closed-door cultivation, the system did not say anything, afraid that it would disturb Xiaoping's cultivation. Therefore, only after Xiaoping's closed-door cultivation ended did the system send a message. 130 million hate points. Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. In addition to the 450 million hatred points he had received before, he now had a total of 580 million hatred points, and he was getting closer and closer to 1 billion hatred points. Once he reached 1 billion hatred points, the system might also give him a big gift bag. He didn't know what kind of big gift bag would appear at that time, but he was looking forward to it. But I've gotten quite a bit of hatred this time. Did something big happen while I was in seclusion? Thinking of this, Xiaoping had an idea and immediately logged onto the internet to find out what had happened recently. Furthermore, he was still in the midst of a battle with the sirens. Nothing had happened in the past few days and no one had come to challenge him. Everything seemed calm and peaceful. He felt that it was very strange. But he was not in the mood to pay attention to this kind of thing for the time being. After 3 days of closed-door cultivation, his body was already tired, and his whole body smelled of sweat. He wanted to take a bath and become energetic. Xiaoping pushed open the door of the quiet room and passed by the living room of the villa along the way. He immediately saw Jianghu, Suji, Yuchichi and the others eating breakfast in the living room. On the dining table there was a dense array of delicacies such as stewed eggs with milk, seaweed shrimp egg pancakes, hot and sour dumplings, toast banana rolls, pumpkin and red bean stew buns, potato pancakes, seafood pizza, ham Cheetos and so on. Every delicacy on the table was full of color, smell and taste. The entire living room was filled with the fragrance of food, making people salivate endlessly, as if the roundworms in their stomachs were drumming. And Yuchichi did not seem to have the sullen look from 3 days ago. Instead, she was talking and laughing with the others as if she had already become close friends with Suji and Jianghu, enjoying the food happily. Miss Chichi, I never thought that the underwater world would be so interesting. There are so many strange creatures and all kinds of rare treasures. I really want to go to the underwater world to take a look. It's a pity that we humans can't survive in the underwater world, so it's very difficult for us to appreciate the scenery there. Jianghu sighed. She had previously heard Yuchichi talk about the various interesting things in the underwater world, and she was very interested. Sure enough, the world was very big and there were all kinds of strange things. Indeed, I really hope to be able to visit the Mermaid Kingdom one day. Suji was also very much in agreement. No. Your human world seems to be very interesting as well. There are all kinds of mountains, deserts, valleys, forests, secret realms, and all kinds of creatures that don't need water to survive. There's even an endless supply of food. Yuchichi exclaimed excitedly, "Oh my God! This ice cream, dumplings, candied haws, chocolates, cream cakes. I can't believe that there are so many delicious foods in the human world. This is so exciting. In comparison, the food in the underwater world is much more ordinary. Apart from seafood, there's nothing else." Although she had been captured by Xiaoping, this was still her first time entering the human world and stepping foot on dry land. Everything was very novel and it was her first experience. Especially after enjoying the various delicacies of the human world, her heart was instantly captivated. Over the past few days, she had lost count of how much she had eaten and enjoyed herself so much that she had almost forgotten that she was a prisoner. She reached out to grab a piece of cake and munched on it, her mouth full of cream as she devoured it hungrily. "You're welcome. There's still a lot here." Suji snickered. "You guys really are good people." Hearing this, Yuchichi's eyes brimmed with tears of gratitude. "I used to think that humans were an extremely hateful race, bandits of the ocean who would burn, kill, and pillage, committing all kinds of evil and plundering. But now, it seems that humans are different from each other. Just like us mermaids, there are virtuous and revered professors, but there are also despicable, shameless hoodlums who like to commit crimes." Yuchichi clenched her teeth as she thought of Xiaoping. This human was simply evil to the extreme. He was the most evil and dark side of humans. However, these two human beauties were different. They were definitely angel-like existences, the most beautiful side of humans. They were kind and amiable, loved peace, and stood aloof from worldly affairs. How could there be such a huge difference between humans? Cough cough. Chapter 9:19. Who's there? Hearing this voice, Yuchichi, Suji, and Jianghu all turned their heads around, and immediately saw Xiaoping standing nearby. None of them had expected that Xiaoping would suddenly appear in this place. "Xiaoping, you're out? Are you done?" Suji asked curiously. She knew that Xiaoping was planning to break through to the 6th level of Grandmaster. He had been in seclusion for 3 days, but she did not expect him to come out so soon. After all, it was normal for someone to go into seclusion for a week after reaching the Grandmaster realm. Yes, I'm done. Xiaoping nodded. But why is this fish still here? What did he mean by this fish? Initially, Yuchichi was still feeling embarrassed for speaking behind someone's back. But the moment she heard Xiaoping's words, she was like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, and she exploded in anger. Her previous shame was swept away. It did not matter how much she spoke ill of this hateful human. Anyway, this guy's skin was so thick that even bullets could not penetrate it. What did you say? Don't you know why I'm here? Yuchichi's beautiful eyes were spitting fire. The reason she stayed here was because she was forced to come here by this shameless human. She was a captive. Now this bastard was playing the fool and asking the obvious. Yuchichi wanted to bite this bastard to death. Of course I know. I didn't invite you back to be my boss. You've been eating and drinking in my house, eating my rice, and yet you're still speaking ill of your master. Tell me, is this appropriate? Even a hooligan wouldn't go as far as you. Xiaoping cast a sidelong glance at Yuchichi as if he was looking at a liar. Who's staying in your house to eat and drink? Yuchichi gritted her teeth. You shameless kidnapper, hooligan, commoner, shameless human. This princess is the princess of the mermaid kingdom. Even a strand of my hair is more precious than gold. Why would I need to stay in your house to eat and drink? How dare you say that you invited me back? Have you no shame? It's clearly you who kidnapped me and brought me here. So you're saying that I'm staying in your house. You're shameless. Her eyes were spewing fire. If eyes could kill, Xiaoping would have been burned to ashes. As a kidnapper, he should give the kidnapped people good food and drinks, and raise them fat and white so that they could be sold for a good price. This was the professional ethics of a kidnapper. However, this human was actually so stingy to this extent. He just casually ate some rice from his house and said that she came here to eat and drink for free. Was there such an insult? It seemed like she couldn't eat anything and had to starve. You're wrong. I didn't kidnap you. I invited you back. Didn't you not struggle when I invited you back? I can imagine that you also accepted this invitation. Xiaoping wanted to correct this point. He felt that the mermaid princess was willing. Invite my ass. Yuchichi still remembered everything that had happened that day clearly. The moment she boarded the ship, she had wanted to make use of the opportunity to escape. Who would have thought that this shameless human would tie her up with ropes in an instant? Moreover, he was tied up and taken away. Was this an invitation? She wanted to struggle, but the problem was that she was tied up and couldn't move. How could she struggle? This bastard had no intention of letting her struggle at all. In fact, to prevent her from speaking, this bastard had even stuffed a piece of filthy cloth into her mouth, causing her to make muffled sounds and be unable to speak. Yuchichi was filled with rage when she recalled the events of that day. She was a mermaid princess with a noble status, and yet she had been kidnapped by someone. She had never experienced such humiliation in her life. Right? Didn't you say that you were the princess of some mermaid kingdom? Or that you're the pearl of the endless ocean that is doted on endlessly? Why hasn't your father made a move yet? Why hasn't he brought any gifts to bring you back? Could it be that you're an imposter, and your real identity is the little maid of the princess, used as a shield at critical moments? Xiaoping looked at Yuchichi suspiciously. You're the shield. Yuchichi wanted to bite Xiaoping. In truth, she was also extremely depressed. There seemed to be no news of her father, and no one had sent anyone to look for her. It was as if she had long been forgotten. She was a little worried about whether her father knew that she had been kidnapped. Perhaps he knew, but was delayed by some important matter, and did not have the time to care about it. The problem was, what could be more important than her daughter being kidnapped by a despicable human? The more Yuchichi thought about it, the more terrified she became. Forget it, I can't be bothered with your identity. In any case, if your father doesn't bring any precious gifts to bring you back, you should just stay here obediently and not go anywhere. Xiaoping said, furthermore, you can't continue to eat and drink here. You have to work hard in the villa as a maid and earn your own living expenses. Only then will you have food to eat, or you can only eat air. He wanted Yuchichi to work hard as a maid in the villa. What? Hearing that, Yuchichi's eyes widened. She was going crazy. No, this human had gone crazy. She was a mermaid princess, and her fingers did not have to do any chores. If she wanted to, she would not even have to stand on her feet for the rest of her life. With a single order, countless servants would serve her with delicious food and drinks, serving her well. But this shameless human wanted her to work hard and earn money as a maid. What's wrong? Are you unconvinced? In the human world there is no way to earn money without working, understand? Xia Ping said lazily, you are now a maid, not a mermaid princess. Remember your current identity. Alright, I will work here to earn money. Yu Qiqi clenched her teeth. She had no choice but to lower her head when under the eaves. Although she did not know this human's famous saying, she knew that disobeying this human demon king would not end well. It was just a job. It was not a problem for her, the great mermaid princess. Jianghu and Suji were both dumbfounded. They did not expect Xia Ping to be so daring. He actually ordered the mermaid princess to work hard as a maid and earn money. This was too exaggerated. But thinking about it carefully, since he dared to kidnap a mermaid princess and was not afraid of the mermaid king's threat, it was not a big deal. Right. Xia Ping suddenly thought of something. He looked at Jianghu and Suji. During my 3 days of seclusion, how was the battle with the allied sea demons? Why didn't anyone inform me? He felt that it was strange. If the battle was intense, even if he was in seclusion he would forcefully come out. After all, he could break through at any time. Battle situation? Chapter 920. Retreated? Xia Ping was stunned. No matter how imaginative he was, he had not expected such a thing to happen. They had retreated without a trace. What had happened? You can check the internet for the specifics. The news should have a detailed explanation. Suji could not explain it in a few words. She might as well let Xia Ping read the news. All right. Xia Ping nodded. He immediately logged onto the internet and searched for the latest news. It's true. The Sea Demon Alliance retreated 3 days ago. They didn't ask for anything. They just retreated without a trace. Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. He had seen the news everywhere on the internet. He had not expected the Sea Demon Alliance to retreat so quickly. After all, even though 3,000 Grandmasters had died, and the Shark Demon King and Shadow Demon King had been seriously injured, the Sea Demon Alliance was still very powerful. If they fought to the death they could cause huge casualties to Giant Island. But now they had retreated without any explanation. However, he soon saw someone give the reason why the Sea Demon Alliance had retreated. It was because Xia Ping had ambushed the Shark Demon race's base and plundered the Shark Demon King's treasure, threatening the foundation of many sea demons. This action had greatly intimidated many of the monster kings. They did not dare to act rashly. In the past, these deep-sea monster kings had been arrogant and despotic. They had looked down on humans because of the natural defenses of the sea. No matter how powerful humans were, they could not harm their base. But now it was different. Xia Ping could enter and exit the ocean city at will. He could strike a huge blow at the base of these sea demons at any time. It could be said that this had taught many of the sea demons a lesson. Humans also had the military power to attack the underwater world. Even if humans could not occupy the underwater world, they could heavily injure it and completely destroy it. They could send it back to the Stone Age. After all, destruction was much simpler than creation. I did not expect that this action would cause the sea demons to retreat. What a coincidence. Xia Ping rubbed his chin. He had wanted to make a fortune by robbing the rich to help the poor. He had not expected such an unexpected effect. It scared the monster kings into retreating. They obediently returned to their nests. They did not dare to attack Giant Island again. This was a pleasant surprise. Oh, the news of the mermaid princess being kidnapped has spread? How did it spread so quickly? Did someone add fuel to the fire? Xia Ping touched his chin. He had seen the news on the internet. It was filled with news of the mermaid princess being kidnapped. This news even overshadowed the news of the retreat of the sirens. People were discussing it everywhere, and the internet was flooded with all kinds of rumors. It was impossible for the news to spread so quickly without a mastermind behind the scenes. Could it be Shark Demon Monarch's doing? Xia Ping guessed that there weren't many people who knew about this. Jianghu and Suji probably wouldn't say anything about it, and the giant company wouldn't spread it either. After all, they didn't want to have a falling out with the Mermaid King. He reckoned that only the Shark Demon King, who had a great enmity with him, could do such a thing. Perhaps the power of the Wanyao Mountain had also secretly made a move. Perhaps the other party wanted him to become the target of public criticism, to endure great pressure and become the target of countless sea monsters. Beep, suddenly a pop-up window appeared, revealing a piece of breaking news. Last night, the Endless Sea's Orchid Island had been breached by the Sea Dragon Clan's crown prince, and the humans on the island had been captured. Orchid Island? Xia Ping's brows twitched. He suddenly recalled that this so-called Orchid Island was the main island owned by the Wang clan, who had a grudge against him. It was said that it was the base of the Wang clan, an important military location. But now it had been breached by the Sea Dragon clan, and all the humans had been captured. It looked like they were going to be wiped out. He remembered that the Wang clan was arrogant and despotic, sending a large number of grandmasters to kill him. Just because they were a king clan, they were unscrupulous. Who would have thought that they would meet with such misfortune? How unlucky. He treated this news as a joke. For his enemies, the more unlucky they were, the better. But this pop-up window was just the beginning. There were still many more news appearing. Extra news, extra news. Stone Bamboo Island has been breached by the Whale clan, and all the humans have been captured. Rooster Crown Island has also suffered a calamity. The Octopus clan has breached its defenses in a single night. Peacock Island has fallen, and Wisdom King Island has been breached. Shocking news came one after another. It seemed that these sea monsters had acted together and breached the human islands in a single night. All the humans had been captured and not a single one had escaped. This was a lightning-fast war. However, these islands were nothing more than pebbles compared to the vast human territory. Occupying a small island like this was equivalent to occupying a small village. Unless they occupied a super city like the giant island, it would not be a fatal crisis. Although the occupied area was small, it was very significant. It was unknown why these sea monsters had acted together to target the humans, but this was enough to make some of the big shots of the human race vigilant. Interesting. Xia Ping touched his chin and his eyes flickered. He could see that these islands were private islands in the human world. They were controlled by the king clans of the Endless Sea, and were considered private territories. They were not under the jurisdiction of the federal government, and they were not obliged to pay taxes. The actions of these sea monsters were very targeted. With the guidance of an expert, they did not touch the bottom line of the humans, but they still made the humans nervous and very careful. He guessed that these monsters wanted to use this operation to achieve some kind of goal. Sure enough, not long after, the prince of the Sea Dragon clan, Hai Peng, immediately said, "I am here to seriously warn the humans. Immediately release the mermaid princess, return her safe and sound, and apologize at the same time. Otherwise, I will kill all the humans on Orchid Island as a warning to others." He claimed that he had broken into the Orchid Island to rescue the mermaid princess, and that he had done so openly. That's right, immediately release the mermaid princess. If you don't release her immediately, the humans on Stone Bamboo Island, Rooster Crown Island, Peacock Island, and other islands will all die. This is an ultimatum and definitely not a joke. If you don't release the mermaid princess and apologize, we will not rest. Also, hand over the human murderer Xia Ping and chop off his head to appease our anger. Otherwise, we will continue to kill and destroy the human islands one by one. That's right. The main culprit, the human Xia Ping, must die. There is no room for discussion. We will only give you 1 day to consider. 1 second late and one person will die. Chapter 921. As soon as the news came out, the entire Cloud Realm was in an uproar. They did not expect that more than a dozen human islands had been breached by the Sea Demon clan to rescue the mermaid princess and deal with Xia Ping. Are these sea demons crazy? Are they trying to start a war? Look at them. It seems like they are willing to fight with humans. The mermaid princess is so charming that so many sea demons have come out. Of course she is. The mermaid princess is known as the Pearl of the Endless Sea. Once you marry her, you will reach the sky in a single step. You will have a chance to become the son-in-law of the Mermaid King. Who doesn't want to win her heart? She is a woman who can bring disaster to a country and bring disaster to its people. Damn, this Xia Ping always causes trouble. He almost caused a war with the Wanyao Mountain. Now he is provoking the Sea Demon clan. This brat never stops. Is there anyone who can control him? The humans on Orchid Island are so unlucky. They probably don't even know why they are being targeted by the sea demons. After one night, they have become captives of the sea demons. I wonder how this matter will be resolved. Many humans were shocked when they saw the news. They felt that a storm was coming. It was as if the dark clouds of war were brewing in the heads of countless humans. This was indeed the case. The humans on Orchid Island, Stone Bamboo Island, Coxcomb Island, Peacock Island, and other islands were all in a state of confusion. They were all living well when a disaster suddenly fell from the sky. A group of ferocious sea demons came and captured all of them. They could not escape. If they had enmity with these sea demons, they could forget about it. How could they not have a few enemies in the Jianghu? They also knew that they might be retaliated and were mentally prepared. But now they had no enmity with this group of monsters and they had never seen them before. Even this matter had nothing to do with them, but because of Xia Ping, they fell into such a situation and became captives. Was there still justice in this world? Was there any reason at all? Especially the Wang family. They were already weak because many of their grandmasters had died. Now that they were attacked by the sea demons, they suffered even more losses. If this continued, the Wang family might be destroyed. Xia Ping is a beast. He has nothing to do all day long, causing trouble everywhere. No one cares about him. Now it's great, even daring to capture the mermaid princess, instigating the wrath of the sea fiends, even bringing disaster to the fish pond, drowning us small fish and prawns, harming us. A captured Wang family elder said with grief and indignation, feeling extremely sullen. That night, he had planned to have a night of exercise with a concubine, but he did not expect a sea dragon demon to charge in. It nearly scared him to death. At that time he was tied up and dragged away like a pig. It was a humiliating night and he couldn't escape even if he wanted to. Damn that Xia Ping. That bastard was born to be at odds with our Wang clan. Brother Hailong, this matter has nothing to do with us. It's all Xia Ping's fault. If you want to find trouble, then go find him. What's the point of finding small fish and shrimp like us? That's right. To be honest, we also have enmity with that Xia Ping. Capturing us won't have any effect on him. It's better to release us. Every debt has a debtor. There's no point in capturing small shrimps like us. Many Wang family descendants shouted, hoping that the sea dragons would release them. They felt that they were too innocent. It was simply a disaster that fell from the sky. It was as if a person was walking on the road and suddenly a meteorite came crashing down and smashed him to death. But the evil person next to them, who had done all sorts of evil and committed all sorts of crimes, did not die. Instead, he smashed them, who were always doing good deeds and were highly respected, to death. Did the heavens still have eyes? Could it be that good people really don't live long and only bad people can live long? Shut up. A sea dragon demon sneered. You humans are all cunning and full of lies. Your words are like farts. I won't believe a single punctuation mark in your words. In short, if that Xia Ping doesn't release the mermaid princess, all of you will die. Every second you are late, one will die. You better pray that Xia Ping is sensible and immediately release the mermaid princess. That way everyone will benefit. It was filled with killing intent. What? The faces of many Wang family descendants turned green. Didn't that mean that their lives were in Xia Ping's hands? If Xia Ping didn't release the mermaid princess and fought the monsters head-on, wouldn't they be dead meat? At the same time, they didn't think that this arrogant person who often caused trouble and even dared to auction off the descendants of demon kings would so easily agree to the threat of these sea demons. It didn't matter if that bastard didn't agree to the threat. After all, he was staying on the giant island. It was very safe. But they were different. They would die for sure. Xia Ping, you must agree to release the mermaid princess. Otherwise, I won't let you off even if I become a ghost. Many Wang family descendants shouted with ferocious expressions. Right now they had no other choice. They could only pray that Xia Ping was a humane person and would care about their lives. At this moment in the villa, Jianghu, Suji and Yuchichi also knew about this news. After all, this was the news that the entire internet was pushing. There was no reason for them not to know. It was impossible to hide it. Yuchichi looked at Xia Ping proudly. Foolish human, now you know how charming this princess is. Do you know what it means to pull one hair and it will affect the whole body? You still dare to say that this princess is here to eat and drink? Do you have any shame? Right now the army is here to save this princess. Let's see what else you have to say. If you know what's good for you, apologize immediately and bribe this princess with all kinds of delicious food. Otherwise, you can imagine the consequences. How terrifying is this princess's anger? She was extremely smug. After waiting for 3 days, someone finally came to save this princess. She hadn't been forgotten. Bang. Xia Ping knocked her with an expressionless face. Yuchichi hugged her little head, tears welling up in her eyes from the pain. Shameless human commoner, you dare to hit me? This princess will fight it out with you. She bared her fangs and brandished her claws. With a bang, Xia Ping knocked her again. The pain caused her to cry. She fell onto the chair, no longer daring to resist this tyrannical and dictatorial rule of this human. A bunch of little demons stirring up trouble here can make you so happy? Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back and said disdainfully. So what if a motley crowd is shouting? Can a bunch of sheep scare a ferocious tiger? Chapter 922. What idea do you have? Su Ji and Jianghu looked at Xiaoping curiously. They felt that the situation was very bad. With so many humans taken as hostages, there was nothing they could do. Moreover, with so many sea demon races attacking together, they were besieged on all sides. They felt that if they were in his shoes, they wouldn't be able to do anything. They could only let him do whatever he wanted. It doesn't matter what idea it is. Xiaoping waved his hand. Anyway, these little demons want to extort me? They don't even know how to write the word death. This time I will make them suffer. Keep bragging. Yu Qiqi didn't believe Xiaoping's words at all. She looked at him with disdain. This was a joint operation of many powerful races, displaying their terrifying military power. How could it be so easy to deal with? She felt that this human was clearly bragging and bluffing, but in fact, her heart was already trembling with fear. With a smack, Xiaoping knocked her on the head expressionlessly, causing her to cry out in pain. Yu Qiqi's eyes widened. She wanted to eat Xiaoping like a meat bun. This human was too violent. He couldn't win against her in words, so he took action. Beep beep. At this time, Xiaoping's communicator rang. He subconsciously turned it on. With a smack, a holographic projection appeared in the hall. The one in front of him was the Sea Dragon Prince Hai Peng. Behind him was the Whale Prince Jing Zhantian and many other Sea Demon Princes. At this moment they were all gathered. Strange. How did you find my number? Xiaoping looked at the group of Sea Demons. We naturally have our methods. Hai Peng sneered, cut the crap. We're only calling to tell you one thing. Release the Mermaid Princess as soon as possible and tie your own hands. Kneel down and kowtow to us as an apology. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable. Rivers of blood will be the least of your worries. Remember, you only have 1 day to consider. You can't be late for even a second. He gave Xiaoping an ultimatum. No need. I don't need 1 day. Xiaoping said indifferently, I can give you an answer now. Humans will never accept this kind of blatant blackmail. You should give up on this idea. He immediately refused, not even taking a second to consider. Aren't you worried about the humans on Orchid Island? Now that they've been captured by us, they've become prisoners. As long as I give the order, their heads will roll. Don't think that I'm joking. Hai Peng's killing intent surged, revealing a threatening expression. He lightly flicked his finger. Immediately, many surveillance images appeared next to them. In the images, many humans were captured and shackled. They looked very pathetic, as if they were slaves. Then kill him. Xiaoping was very generous and did not accept threats at all. You think you can make me compromise just because you captured some humans to threaten me? You really overestimate yourself. I'll be honest with you, demons. Even if I have to kill all the humans on Orchid Island and the other islands, I will not bow down to you demons or beg for mercy. Furthermore, I believe that the humans on Orchid Island and the other islands are also hot-blooded. Even if their heads were chopped off, they wouldn't even frown. Even if I'm tortured, I won't beg for mercy from you demons. Blood my ass. The Wang family disciples also saw the conversation between Xiaoping and Hai Peng. Because Hai Peng was right in front of them, he chose to communicate with Xiaoping without any intention of hiding. Initially, they were hoping that Xiaoping would sacrifice himself and apologize to the sea demons, release the mermaid princess and save them. However, after hearing Xiaoping's words, they were so angry that their lungs almost exploded. They immediately cursed out loud. Shameless Xiaoping, how dare you say such things? Do you have any shame? He's obviously afraid of death and doesn't dare to fight the sea demons, so he's using us as a shield. Oh my god, look at what this kid is saying. He said that we're hot-blooded humans. Even if our heads are chopped off, we won't frown. Even if we're tortured, we won't beg for mercy. Sounds better than singing. You're not the one who's fucking captured. Of course you can be arrogant here, saying that you're unyielding and never surrender. So what if you're hot-blooded? If you're hot-blooded, you have to die. Is there any logic in not saving us? Fucking Xiaoping, you only know how to make sarcastic remarks and watch us die. He's clearly afraid of death, yet he says he's hot-blooded and won't bow down to the sea demons. His skin is thicker than the city walls. Shameless to the extreme. Hearing this, I want to vomit. Do you know that? Xiaoping, if you have any conscience, hurry up and release the mermaid princess and save us poor and innocent people. The Wang family disciples cursed and felt extremely aggrieved. They could finally tell that this kid was a selfish, cold-blooded, and ungrateful person who was afraid of death. If they wanted this guy to sacrifice himself to save people, it would be better to hope that pigs could fly up trees. If Xiaoping were to appear in front of them right now, they would definitely disregard their own safety and bite this bastard to death for not saving them. Xiaoping. Hai Peng's expression was very gloomy. Did you hear that? Are you willing to watch these humans die in front of your eyes? If you don't save them, there will be no place for you in the entire human society. You will become a street rat and everyone will curse you to death. His plan was very simple. If Xiaoping did not save them, then his reputation in the human society would be tarnished. When that happened, this kid would not be able to stay in the human society anymore. He would probably be crushed by public opinion. This was a very sinister plan. This was using the moral high ground to deal with the enemy. Reputation. Xiaoping was very speechless. His reputation in the human society was worse than dog shit. He was a coward, lecherous, shameless, evil, and bullied people. He had all the words that a villain should have. Even if he did not save them, it was not a big deal. It was like a piece of black paper. Even if there was a black dot on it, no one would be able to see it and no one would care. If he was a good person, perhaps this matter would be very serious and force him to take action. Unfortunately, he was not a good person at all. If they wanted to use this plan to deal with him, they had found the wrong target. Cut the crap. Xiaoping said indifferently, if you have the guts, then do it. If you dare to kill a human, I will go to the underwater world and slaughter one of your sea dragon race's cities. If I kill 10, I will slaughter 10 cities. I want to see if your sea dragon race has more people or my human race. Chapter 923. Slaughter 10 cities? The sea dragon prince Hai Peng seemed to have heard a huge joke. Are you kidding me? Do you think that the cities of my sea dragon race are so easily breached by you humans? Don't think that you are alone. Even if a human army came to the underwater world, they would only be trash. The ocean is the territory of our sea demon race. You humans are not qualified at all. He sneered, thinking that Xiaoping was joking. This wasn't him being arrogant. This was the truth. Humans couldn't even breathe in the water, so how could they defeat them in the underwater world? The other sea demons looked at Xiaoping in disdain, thinking that this human was talking nonsense. This was the contempt that the sea demons had for humans for a long time. They didn't care about humans at all. Don't talk nonsense. Kill if you want. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back. I want to see if you have the guts to kill. Don't blame me for not warning you in advance. After saying this, he hung up the phone. He couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with these sea demons. What? Many sea demons saw that Xiaoping hung up the phone without any warning. He had no intention of negotiating at all. They were so angry that their faces turned pale, and their bodies trembled. Bastard human, you still dare to say that we don't have the guts to kill. Alright, I will kill a few humans to show this brat that we don't have the guts to kill humans. A sea demon was enraged by Xiaoping's words. He immediately wanted to kill a few humans to scare the monkeys. Don't be impulsive. Don't fall for this human's evil trick. Hai Peng's eyes flickered, and he immediately stopped this sea demon. If we really fall for this human's provocation, I'm afraid it will be a little troublesome. I think this despicable human is deliberately provoking us so that we will kill all these humans. This way, he doesn't need to worry about the public opinion of humans. Then he will point the spearhead at our sea demon race. We will share a common enemy, and he will turn into a great hero to avenge the dead humans. This is killing two birds with one stone. What? Many sea demons were shocked. What a shameless human. He has no sympathy at all. For himself, he actually watched these humans die. Doesn't he feel sad at all? They were all terrified by Xiaoping's evil plan. Many of the Wang family's disciples were sullen. How could that bastard be sad? After all, there was enmity between them and they had fought before. If they died, that bastard Xiaoping would shed a single tear and they would lose. As for the humans on the other islands, they were all from the king's family and didn't know Xiaoping at all. How could they have any feelings for these strangers? Don't worry. This brat is unmoved, but there will be someone who will feel anxious. Hai Peng sneered. I've investigated. The humans on these islands all seem to be from king clans. Because of the previous war, these kings were transferred away by the giant company. They weren't protected by their families, so we easily broke through the fortress and captured all of them. Now that the descendants of the king clans are in our hands, do you think these human kings wouldn't be anxious? Once they get anxious, I'm afraid we won't even need to do anything. Those human kings will find trouble with that human Xiaoping. In any case, let's just wait and watch the show. There's still one more day. Let's wait and see. It was strategizing and seemed to have calculated everything. Amazing, truly amazing. As expected of the crown prince of the sea dragon race. His intelligence surpasses others. No matter how arrogant that human is, he probably won't be able to escape from the crown prince's palm. Haha, then we'll just wait and watch the show. We'll wait and see these humans bite each other like dogs. Many of the sea demons laughed loudly. They weren't idiots and instantly understood what Hai Peng meant. Just as Hai Peng expected, an hour after he hung up the phone, over 10 human kings appeared at the entrance of Xiaoping's villa. They wanted to discuss something with Xiaoping. These human kings were none other than the Wang family patriarch Wang Kong, the Lu family patriarch Lu Yuan, the Pan family patriarch Panda, and so on. They were all the kings of the clans that had been captured by the sea demons. They had all come looking for him because of this matter. Young man, you're a smart person. I believe you know very well what's going on. As soon as they entered the villa, the Wang family patriarch Wang Kong went straight to the point. My grandson, granddaughter, and many other descendants of the Wang family have fallen into the hands of these sea demons. They're in grave danger and can't be delayed. There's only one way to save them now, and that's to release the mermaid princess. You also have to apologize to these sea demons personally. Only then can this matter be resolved perfectly. I hope you can look at the big picture and not be stubborn. This isn't just my idea. It's the idea of all the kings here. I hope you can consider it, young man. There was a hint of threat in his tone. He used the identities of over 10 kings to pressure Xiaoping, trying to force him to lower his head. Interesting. You're using the identities of over 10 kings to pressure me. If you want me to release the mermaid princess, I'll do it. If you want me to apologize, I'll do it. Do you really think I'm scared? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes and revealed a dangerous glint as he looked at the human kings. Young man, what do you mean by that? We came here to discuss with you, but you're saying that we're bullying you. Isn't that a little too much? The Lu family patriarch Lu Yuan said, I won't say much. You're also an adult. Think about it carefully. Which is more important, the lives of the humans on the islands or your personal honor? Lower your head and release the mermaid princess, and you'll be able to save the lives of the humans on the islands. You can ease the tension between the humans and the sea demons and avoid a war. Is such a request too much? You have to understand that this isn't just about you. His tone was old and mature, lecturing Xiaoping like a senior. That's right. In the first place, you were the one who messed around in this matter. That's why such a big problem arose. If you hadn't captured the mermaid princess, this wouldn't have happened. You've caused such a big problem. Of course you have to solve this problem. You can't let everyone take the blame and clean up after you. You have to know what's appropriate. You have to admit your mistakes. You're still young. There's nothing you can't change. What's wrong with lowering your head? Although you do have talent in cultivation, you can't act recklessly and do whatever you want. Chapter 924. Are you done? If there's anything else you want to say, feel free to speak. I'm listening. Xiaoping looked at the dozen kings indifferently, unmoved. Young man, what do you mean by this? Are you not listening to a single word we said? The Wang family's ancestor, Wang Kong, stared at Xiaoping with a gloomy expression. The other human kings also had unfriendly expressions. This kid didn't give them any face. They were kings with lofty status in the Federation. With a single word, tens of millions of heads would fall to the ground. Who dared to not give them face? But this kid actually dared to refuse. Xiaoping said indifferently, the more words you say, the better. The most important thing is to have quality. Some people's words are powerful while others speak like farts. Xiaoping. The Wang family's ancestor, Wang Kong, glared at Xiaoping. He could hear the sarcasm in Xiaoping's words. After listening to so much nonsense, I'm starting to wonder if you're spies of the demon race. Are you the demon race's spies among the humans? The elbow is always on the other side. Xiaoping looked at the group of human kings just like that. You can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. You actually dare to slander us kings as spies of the demon race. Do you believe that we can immediately sue you for spreading rumors and make you bankrupt? You dare to insult the reputation of kings? Do you know that this is no small matter? The Lu family's ancestor, Lu Yuan, said sinisterly. If you're not spies of the demon race, then who is? Xiaoping sneered. A group of bandits broke into our home, burning, killing, and looting. They did all kinds of evil and unscrupulous things. Instead of thinking about how to kill the bandits, take revenge, and protect our home, you're thinking about how to curry favor with the bandits and apologize. If this kind of person isn't a spy, then who is? If you're not in cahoots with the bandits, why are you speaking up for them? Hearing this, the Pan family's ancestor, Panda, was stunned for a moment before saying, "This matter is different. Moreover, our descendants have been captured and they have something on us. This matter must be considered at length. We can't act rashly." Without waiting for him to finish, Xia Ping waved his hand. What's the difference? They dared to invade human territory and capture humans. This is even more proof that those monsters deserve to die. What you kings should do now is to immediately dispatch an army and kill all these demons that dare to invade our human territory as a warning to others. Instead of coming here to threaten our own people and speak up for the demons, that's what a traitor would do. The Pan family's ancestor, Panda, was extremely sullen. The problem is that our people have been captured by that sea monster. If we act blindly without thinking, I'm afraid they won't be able to keep their lives. He was very worried about his descendants. Shut up. Xia Ping immediately interrupted Panda's words. So what if we catch them? So what if we lose our lives? When you sailed on the sea and encountered a storm, did anyone die? In the endless sea you searched for new islands, found resources, and fought with the sea monsters. Did anyone die? When the sea monsters went crazy and launched a beast tide to invade human islands, a war broke out. Did anyone die? You all dared to come to the endless sea to open up new territories, to obtain a large amount of resources, wealth, and to live such a dangerous life. You all should have been prepared long ago and disregarded life and death. Yet you're still afraid of death. What a joke. He stared at the human kings present. Today we humans have such glory, intimidated all the races in the cloud realm, and became the overlord. We didn't rely on bowing and kneeling, nor did we rely on apologizing, nor did we rely on compromising. We relied on the white bones of our ancestors, the fearless corpses that killed tens of thousands of races and made them retreat in fear. That's why we have today's achievements. Today all of you have forgotten your bravery. Just because you're afraid of death, you want to apologize to these bandits and compromise. If the ancestors of the human race were to see how useless you are right now, I'm afraid they would crawl out of hell in anger. How can you face the human ancestors? He had a look of exasperation on his face. The group of kings blushed. It was the first time in their lives that they had been scolded by a junior like this. However, they couldn't refute him because his words were reasonable. No, it's not like that. However, the ancestor of the Wang family, Wang Kong, instinctively felt that something was wrong. He wanted to say something to refute Xia Ping. If this continued, they would probably be fooled. What do you mean it's not like that? You're just a bunch of cowards. Xia Ping didn't plan to give him a chance to speak. However, just because you're afraid of death doesn't mean that the humans on Orchid Island and the other islands are the same. I've talked to them before and understood some things. They all agreed that we absolutely can't accept the threat of the monsters. Even if we die, we can't let the sea monsters have their way. It could be said that they're already prepared to die. At that time I was very touched. As expected of the descendants of the king families. All of them are brave men, loyal and unyielding, fearless in the face of danger. It's because of the existence of such heroes that we humans have been able to survive through countless dangers and survive. However, you actually want to trample on the will of these heroes and lower your heads to the sea monsters. This is something I can't tolerate. Even if an invincible king is here, I'll make sure his blood splatters 3 feet high. The ancestor of the Pan family, Panda, was dumbfounded. Really? Do the men of the Pan family have such courage? The other kings were also dumbfounded. Everyone, don't listen to him. He's talking nonsense. The ancestor of the Wang family, Wang Kong, was so angry that his beard was curling up. He understood some of the situation. At the very least, the people of the Wang family definitely didn't have the spirit to rather die than submit. All of them hoped to return safely. I'm not happy when you say that. How is it nonsense? Do you think that all of them are cowards who are afraid of death? When they see the monsters, their bones turn soft and they want nothing more than to crawl on the ground and become the slaves of the sea monsters. Xia Ping cast a sidelong glance at him. Wang Kong, the bones of your Wang family are soft and they've lost their courage, but that doesn't mean that the Pan family is the same. Panda was instantly dissatisfied. He thought that Wang Kong was discriminating against them. The other kings also nodded. None of them were happy to hear that their descendants were cowards who were afraid of death. This was extremely damaging to their reputation. I didn't mean that. Wang Kong was extremely sullen. He was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. Previously the kings had been targeting Xia Ping. Why were they targeting him now? Why did such a sudden change happen? I don't care what you mean. Xia Ping waved his hand. In any case, you guys can go back. I'll take care of this matter. Even if all the humans on those islands are killed, I'll take revenge for them. Of course, I don't think those monsters have the guts to kill humans. He ordered them to leave. Chapter 925. After seeing the human kings leave, Su Ji and Jianghu walked out. Su Ji looked at Xia Ping with a strange expression. You tricked them into leaving just like that? It's just a small trick. The main thing is that they realized that they can't use their king's identity to suppress me. They can't do anything to me on the giant island, so they had no choice but to leave. Xia Ping said lightly. But how do you plan to deal with this? Jianghu asked curiously. She felt that if she didn't solve this problem, those human kings would come back sooner or later. After all, they were kings, the supreme existence of the human world. If they stayed on planet Yanhuang, they wouldn't be qualified to meet such a top character. But now Xia Ping was facing such a character without fear. He was talking and laughing. This was quite amazing. Ordinary grandmasters would be scared to the point that their legs went soft when they saw a king. How would they dare to say such words to a king? How do I deal with it? Xia Ping touched his chin. First, I'll meet this so-called Sea Dragon Prince. I'll give him a big gift and teach him how to be a person. What? Jianghu was stunned. You plan to go to the temporary base of the Sea Dragon Prince? Are you crazy? That's a dragon's pool and tiger's den. If you go there, I'm afraid you won't be able to come back. She looked at Xia Ping as if she was looking at a madman. Su Ji didn't expect Xia Ping to have such a crazy idea. For you it's a dragon's pool and tiger's den. For me it's just my back garden. I can come and go as I please. Xia Ping waved his hand. He was wearing a universal protective suit. His defense was off the charts. Unless an invincible king personally attacked him, no one could kill him. With this suit he could come and go freely. If he couldn't win, he could still escape. Late at night, Orchid Island. This island, which originally belonged to humans, was now occupied by the elite troops of the Sea Dragon clan. It had become a temporary base for the Sea Dragon clan. On the island, soldiers of the Sea Dragon clan could be seen everywhere. They were constantly patrolling and guarding the island. At this moment, in the main hall of the Orchid Island City Lord Manor, there were many demonic race geniuses gathered. They were the Sea Dragon tribe's Prince Hai Peng, the Whale tribe's Prince Jing Zhantian, the Octopus tribe's Prince Zhang Ming, and so on. They were all gathered in this place to conspire. What happened? A sea demon prodigy looked at Hai Peng and asked, Didn't you say that the humans would definitely have internal strife and that the human Xia Ping would definitely be pursued by many human monarchs? He would be badly battered and would have no choice but to bow down to us and apologize? More than half a day has passed and there's no news at all. It's all calm. Why can't I see any sincerity in releasing the mermaid princess? It was very dissatisfied. Shut up. Another sea demon prodigy shouted. The sea prince naturally has his own plans. What are you babbling about? Is this something that the sea prince can decide? We have no way of knowing what decisions humans can make. It stood up to defend Hai Peng. That's not what I meant. I'm just saying that if Xia Ping really refuses to compromise and would rather let all the humans on these islands die than hand over the mermaid princess or apologize, what should we do? The sea demon prodigy said. Are we really planning to start a war with the humans? He was very worried about this. If you want to fight, then let's fight. What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of those weak humans? Whale Prince Jing Zhantian sneered. If those weak humans dare to come, I'll kill them with a single slap. A berserk aura emanated from his body. Everyone knew how terrifying the whale race was. They were known as one of the strongest races in the Endless Sea. Once they transformed into their true form, they would be hundreds of meters long with unparalleled strength. Even though Jing Zhantian was in human form, he was still 5 or 6 meters tall, like a giant. His entire body was covered in armor-like muscles, and even laser guns couldn't penetrate his defenses. That's right. If they want to start a war, that's exactly what I want. These humans have been acting arrogantly in the Endless Sea for a long time, and we've never done anything about them. Now is the perfect opportunity to show these land creatures who the true overlords of the endless sea are. Octopus Prince Zhang sneered. He had 8 arms, each holding a sharp saber. He used the 8-saber stream and was known as the Saber Grandmaster of the Sea Demon race. Once he waved his saber, the saber light and sword shadows would instantly cut his enemies into hundreds of pieces, unable to resist. The human king didn't react. This prince has indeed miscalculated. I didn't expect these humans to be so cold-blooded and merciless. They never put their own kind in their eyes, Hai Ping said coldly. But that doesn't matter. Once the time is up, we'll personally take action and slaughter these humans. We'll kill the chickens to scare the monkeys and intimidate them. If killing the humans on 10 islands isn't enough to intimidate them, then we'll kill 20, 30, or even 100. I want to see if they can still remain indifferent and turn a blind eye to us. His killing intent soared, and a terrifying killing intent that was almost tangible filled the air. The other sea demons nodded. If they didn't slaughter these humans when the time was up, wouldn't that mean that they were really afraid of these humans? Even if it was for their own dignity, these captive humans had to die. Rumble, at this moment, a huge whirlpool of air appeared above Orchid Island. Terrifying vibrations immediately spread out, and the sea demons immediately sensed it. What? Hai Ping and the other sea demon prodigies originally wanted to discuss something, but they suddenly sensed such a strange movement. All of them looked outside wanting to know what was happening. Report. Immediately, a sea dragon soldier rushed in from outside the hall. With a horrified expression, he shouted, "A human super battleship suddenly appeared above the island. The humans are attacking. The humans are attacking." The sea demon prodigies were shocked. This was too fast. They were just talking about the humans and they didn't expect the humans to attack so quickly. They didn't even have time to react. Dong. The ceiling of the city lord's mansion immediately shattered. As if a huge meteorite had fallen from the sky, it instantly smashed through the ceiling and landed heavily on the ground of the hall. Soon, a deep pit with a diameter of several meters appeared on the ground. Gravel flew everywhere and at the same time, cracking sounds could be heard. Countless cracks spread on the ground like a spider web. Whoosh, a strong wind blew and the dust that filled the hall dissipated. Immediately, a human figure appeared. When all the demons present saw the figure clearly, many of the sea demon prodigies were shocked. Xia Ping of the human race. Chapter 926. No way. Xia Ping of the human race? Why would he come here? Many of the sea demons were dumbfounded. They had just been discussing how to deal with this brat, coming up with all kinds of plans. Some had even said that they would definitely kill him the moment they saw him. But now this brat had really appeared in front of them. For a moment they couldn't even react. Xia Ping, what are you doing here? Hai Ping and the other sea demon geniuses all stared at Xia Ping, this uninvited guest. They all knew that those who came didn't come with good intentions, and those with good intentions wouldn't come. What am I doing? Don't you know what you've done? Aren't you very clear in your hearts? I'm here to give you a lesson. I'll let you know what the rules of the land are. Xia Ping stood in front of the sea demons, his hands clasped behind his back, his eyes filled with a frightening coldness. The rules of the land are very simple. There's only one rule: don't provoke humans. Bullshit. A puny human dares to be so arrogant? It's good that you're here. I'll kill you and then I'll see who else dares to kidnap the mermaid princess. Die. The first to attack was Jing Zhantian. As a member of the whale race, he was a tyrant in the endless sea. Relying on his gigantic body and violent strength, he had almost no natural enemies. This also gave him an arrogant personality. He didn't think about how Xia Ping had arrived at Orchid Island so quickly, nor did he think about why he had come here alone. He just wanted to kill this damned human with a single punch and put an end to all his troubles. Boom. In the blink of an eye, Jing Zhantian's enormous body moved. His movement was like a raging fire in a forest, carrying with it a violent aura that set off a terrifying storm in all directions. The entire hall shook and the earth quaked. Smoke and dust billowed. All the sea demons present hurriedly moved away from the center of the storm to avoid being caught in it. Once a member of the whale race was enraged, they would lose all sense of reason. They wouldn't differentiate between friend and foe, and with their violent strength, who knew how many enemies they would kill? This human is dead for sure. He actually dared to come here alone. How bold. I've long heard that this human is extremely daring to do anything. I didn't think that he would come here to throw his life away. He's completely brainless. It's best if he's brainless. Boorish people are the easiest to kill. Looks like we don't even need to do anything. Jing War Heaven alone should be enough. That's only natural. Jing Zhantian is at the 8th level of the Supreme Power Realm. Even ordinary monsters at the peak of the 9th level of the Supreme Power Realm are no match for him. One punch and they'll turn them into minced meat. There's nothing we can do about it. The power of the whale race is too violent. It's not something an ordinary race can compare to. How many moves do you think this human can take? 3 moves. Originally, 1 move would have been enough. However, this human is quite famous. Perhaps he has some ability, but 3 moves is his limit. Or rather, this is the limit of the human race. The difference in talent between races is something that cannot be made up for. All of the sea demons present sneered as they watched from the sidelines. They felt that Jing Zhantian alone was more than enough. Any more sea demons would just be a waste of power. Jing Zhantian had used his full strength right from the get-go. It was as if he didn't have any concept of mercy in his head. This kind of fist technique was meant to kill. It was simple and crude, and he wouldn't rest until he destroyed his opponent. The strength of this fist was truly terrifying. Immediately, the astral energy in the air vibrated, seemingly condensing into a giant whale. It took on a physical form and swam through the void, fiercely smashing towards Xia Ping, stirring up winds and waves for several kilometers. Xia Ping didn't even look at it. He stood where he was, trembled, exploded, and punched out to meet it head-on. Is this human looking to die? Many of the sea demons were stunned. In the face of such a ferocious punch, not only did he not dodge, but he actually chose to meet the incomparably strong Jing Zhantian head-on. If this wasn't courting death, then what was? Previously, some of the sea demons had thought that it would take 3 punches to kill the human, but that was because the human's dodging ability was amazing. Now, however, it seemed that this human was seeking his own death by going head-on against Jing Zhantian. They reckoned that 1 punch would really be enough to kill this human. One was 5 or 6 meters tall and was as strong as a small mountain, while the other was the size of an ordinary human. The difference in size was too great, and so was their fists. How could this human defeat Jing Zhantian? Boom. The 2 fists collided and a terrifying force exploded forth. It was like 7 or 8 volcanoes had erupted at the same time, and a terrifying shockwave swept out in all directions, causing countless cracks to appear on the ground. A whirlpool of air was formed at the center of their battle. Each stream of air seemed to be able to grind up everything, and even steel would be ground to dust if it entered it. But to the surprise of all the sea demons, the incomparably arrogant, complacent and condescending Jing Zhantian suddenly let out a blood-curdling scream, like a pig being slaughtered. His face was ashen, and a large amount of blood blossomed from his fist. One of his thick arms had actually been turned into a pile of meat paste. Just like that, his entire arm had been blasted away. The powerful fist force even transmitted to its body, sending its huge body flying. It scraped across the ground, making cracking sounds as it slid for 2 to 3 kilometers. Along the way, he smashed through over a dozen walls, and a deep crack appeared in the ground. Finally, he fell to the ground, coughing out mouthful after mouthful of blood. The ground was drenched in blood. This? Jing Zhantian was stunned, and he looked at Xia Ping in shock. Even if you beat him to death, he would never have imagined that he would be sent flying by a single punch from this human. The terrifying power that he was so proud of was completely useless in front of this human. The moment their fists collided, he immediately felt a terrifying spiral energy coming from the human's fist. It was like a whirlpool that was constantly grinding away at him. In just an instant, the explosive power of his fist was completely absorbed. Then this power exploded within his body, and he couldn't block it at all. A single punch had sent him flying, and he had even lost an arm. Not bad. Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. You didn't die after taking a punch from me and only lost an arm. As expected of the whale race. This kind of physique is truly extraordinary, and not something that ordinary races can compare to. He was a little surprised and thought that Jing Zhantian would be killed by a single punch. After all, he had mastered the power of the spiral, which was the fist technique of a sage. It was a piece of cake for him to challenge someone of a higher level. Moreover, he had now advanced to the 6th level of Supreme Power Realm. Ordinary 8th level Supreme Power Realm masters were no match for him at all. Only cultivators at the peak of the 9th level of Supreme Power Realm were qualified to fight him. It was already very impressive that Jing Zhantian could take a punch from him and not die. This was enough to prove his strength. Chapter 927. It had to be known that Jing Zhantian was a prominent figure in the Endless Sea. He was the prince of the Whale clan, and was extremely talented. Relying on his clan's innate talent, he was tyrannical and almost invincible. But in the eyes of this human, such a proud son of heaven, a seed of a king, was merely a little capable, an insignificant existence that could survive a single punch. Even if he looked down on others, there should be a limit. Many sea demons glared at Xia Ping angrily, as if they wanted to eat this human alive. Although Jing Zhantian was the one who had lost face, he was also a member of the Sea Demon clan. If he lost face, it would be the same as the entire Sea Demon clan losing face. With a swoosh, Zhang Ming, the prince of the Octopus clan, jumped out. Human Jing Zhantian only has a little ability. What about my ability? In the blink of an eye, his 8 hands danced in the air, each holding a treasured saber that could cut through iron as if it were mud. Each of these treasured sabers was not simple. They had been forged from deep frigid iron by a grandmaster blacksmith, along with countless precious materials, over a period of 49 days. It could be said that these 8 treasured sabers were incomparably terrifying. They were all compatible with the power of the Octopus clan. With a single slash, saber chi would sweep out, and even a small mountain would be split in half. Zhang Ming did not hold back. He immediately attacked Xia Ping, using the Octopus clan saber technique, Universe 8 Saber Stream. Swoosh, swoosh. In that instant, the 8 treasured sabers attacked at the same time. 8 terrifying saber lights attacked at the same time, as if they were going to split the earth in half. So strong. Many sea demons' pupils shrank. They were all shocked by the Octopus Prince's battle prowess. Even among the sea demons, the Octopus clan was considered one of the strongest. It had 8 hands and each of them was as nimble as a human's. Now that these 8 hands were waving at the same time, it was like 8 people attacking Xia Ping. He might be able to block 1 or 2 sabers, but he might not be able to block 5 or 8 sabers. This was the terror of the Octopus clan. As long as one was hit by 8 sabers, they would undoubtedly die. Not bad saber technique. A cold light flashed in Xia Ping's eyes. He could also see that Zhang Ming's strength was extraordinary. He had reached the peak of the Supreme Power Realm at the 8th heaven. He was only 1 step away from the Supreme Power Realm at the 9th heaven. Its Sword Dao cultivation had reached the acme of perfection. It was estimated that it had immersed itself in Sword Dao cultivation for at least 20 to 30 years. It trained hard every day and never slacked off. Every time he swung the knife, it was as if he was extending his arm. He was extremely agile and did not waste any energy. He was like a brilliant surgeon performing a precise surgery. Moreover, the other party had 8 arms and his talent was astonishing. If an ordinary human were to encounter him, it would be practically impossible for them to defeat him. The difference between them was too great. This kind of talent was like the legendary martial path Mystique, 3 heads and 6 arms. However, no matter how powerful it was, Xia Ping did not take it seriously. The difference between them was too great. After witnessing the fist technique of the sage, this so-called knife technique was simply full of mistakes. He didn't even need to dodge. Dark North Body Protection Technique. Xia Ping stepped out, his hands turned into a circle, and the tyrannical Gang Qi burst out from his 108,000 pores, instantly forming a huge Qi shield, covering his whole body. At the same time, there seemed to be a huge Kunping rising behind him, wandering in the void, constantly shaking its tail, setting off huge waves in the void, rumbling. Bang bang bang. In a flash, Zhang Ming's attack came in an instant. 8 terrifying saber lights fiercely slashed on the Qi shield. Suddenly there was a clanging sound as if it was slashing on steel, splashing a lot of sparks. But no matter how he attacked, the Qi shield was still as firm as a rock and could not be shaken. What? Zhang Ming was shocked. He found that his treasure saber couldn't cause any harm to Xia Ping's defensive qigong. It seemed to be in an absolute defense. Even its 8 hands felt numb, and the frightening rebounding force from the defensive barrier almost caused its treasured saber to fly out of its hands. Take my punch. Xia Ping didn't show any mercy. He rushed forward and punched the air. This punch was like a Kunping swinging its tail, its huge body charging forward. This kind of power was like the primordial god Gonggong smashing into Mount Buzhou, causing the earth to shake and the mountains to shake. This punch even contained the power of a vortex, a spiral force that created an enormous suction force. It locked onto Zhang Ming's aura, sealing all of his movements and leaving him nowhere to run. No way. Is this the punch that Jing Zhantian just faced? How could it be so terrifying that I can't even escape? Previously, Zhang Ming had looked down on Jing Zhantian, thinking that Jing Zhantian didn't live up to his name. He was clearly from the powerful whale race, but he couldn't even block a punch from a puny human. But now that he was facing Xia Ping's punch, he realized that his thinking was wrong, completely wrong. When this punch came, it felt like endless darkness had enveloped his soul, as if he had fallen into a vortex with nowhere to run. It also felt like he was being surrounded by countless evil spirits, tearing at his soul. This was a punch that surpassed the king level, reaching a mysterious realm. Even if he was an invincible king, he didn't think that a master realm martial artist could display such power. This was already beyond the limits of the martial arts of the sky realm. This was not a martial art of mortals. Dong. This punch hit Zhang Ming. It was like a morning bell or evening drum, emitting a crisp sound. Countless streams of air exploded, and a terrifying force blasted toward Zhang Ming's body. In an instant, his entire body was sent flying, sliding across the ground for 2 or 3 kilometers. Even the 8 arms on its body were broken and drenched in blood. The 8 treasured sabers also fell to the ground with a clanking sound, creating deep pits and sending sparks flying in all directions. Pfft. Zhang Ming fell to the ground, heavily injured. He couldn't help but cough up a mouthful of blood as he looked at the human Xia Ping in shock. As the saying went, a person's name was like a tree's shadow. Now he finally understood that this monstrous genius whose name resounded throughout the human world, who was viewed as a great emperor by the entire myriad demon mountain, was not as simple as he had imagined. His strength and martial arts were extraordinary, as if there was a divine beast living inside this human's body. This. Many sea demons looked at this scene in shock. They couldn't accept that Jing Zhantian had lost, but now even the famous Zhang Ming couldn't withstand a single blow from this human. If they weren't standing there, they would have thought that they were hallucinating. No way, even Zhang Ming isn't a match for this human. How can he be so powerful? This doesn't make sense, it makes too much sense. Many sea demons clenched their fists, staring at this human Xia Ping. Who else wants to die? Chapter 928. You're courting death. Hearing Xia Ping's arrogant words, Hai Peng's face darkened to the extreme, as black as ink. The sea demons that knew him knew that he was on the verge of exploding in anger. Being humiliated by Xia Ping like this, a proud prince like him simply could not stand it. If Xia Ping was his subordinate, he would have been killed dozens of times, and his entire clan would have been exterminated. See, Prince, this human is just an invader. We don't need to be polite with him. That's right, let's attack together and capture him. Attacking one by one is stupid. We are at war, there's no need to talk about morality with him. Many sea demons stared at Xia Ping with murderous intent. Originally, they thought that a sea demon prodigy would be able to end this human, but now that they saw Xia Ping's strength, they realized that this idea was too naive. But even so, it did not matter. They had the advantage in numbers and they were still in their nest. No matter how powerful this little human was, could he overturn the heavens? Kill. Hai Peng's answer was very simple, only one word, but it showed the murderous intent in his heart. Even if he had to use all his subordinates, he would make this human stay here forever. Daring to offend the Sea Dragon Prince, this humiliation must be washed away with blood. Human, go to hell and repent. In an instant, 3 swordfish grandmasters jumped out from the left. Their heads were pointed like sharp arrows. Don't be fooled by their strange appearance, they were the fastest of all the sea demons. When sailing in the sea, they were like sharp arrows shuttling back and forth. Anything in front of them would be pierced in an instant. Nothing could stop them. Even titanium alloy was as fragile as tofu in front of them. Ordinary swordfish would surpass the speed of sound when swimming in the sea. As swordfish grandmasters, their speed was even more terrifying. Often, when humans sailed on the sea, they would be pierced through by the swordfish clan in an instant, and the entire ship would sink to the bottom of the endless sea. They were also known as the sonic killers of the sea. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Sonic booms reverberated all around as the 3 swordfish clan grandmasters attacked with terrifying killing intent, aiming at the vital parts of Xia Ping's body. The human's head belongs to my electric eel clan. All other sea demons scram. The 3 grandmasters of the electric eel clan attacked from the right. They were not willing to fall behind, and their speed was almost as fast as the swordfish clan. The electric eel clan was known as the lightning controller of the sea. Their bodies contained a strong electric current. Even when they were still infants, they were still extremely dangerous creatures. The slightest touch would cause an electric current that could electrocute a human to death. Not to mention, the Grandmasters of the Electric Eel clan could control the power of thunder in their bodies to the acme of perfection. They could even release tens of thousands of volts of electricity in an instant, charring their entire bodies. Zzz in the void, blue electric currents immediately filled the air. They were as thick as a finger, and suddenly hundreds of them appeared. They all bombarded Xiaoping's body in a frenzy, covering the entire area. Humans also seemed to be very delicious. I wonder what exactly this human genius tastes like. My shellfish race will give it a try. The three grandmasters of the shellfish race charged out from the middle. Their bodies were wrapped in a giant shell, which was engraved with mysterious ancient inscriptions. It contained a mysterious power, and there seemed to be a special energy shield covering their entire bodies. The shellfish race had an extremely strong defense, and it was not inferior to the sea turtle race. The defense of their shells was off the charts. Even if dozens of missiles exploded, they would not be able to harm their bodies in the slightest. They even had a devouring power. Once an enemy was completely covered by their shells, they would quickly devour the enemy along with their bones. Their bodies would quickly secrete a terrifying sulfuric acid liquid, which would quickly melt the enemy's body. Many sea demons were terrified of the shellfish race. It was said that the shellfish race was known as the gourmet of the sea. They had devoured countless creatures in the endless sea and were an extremely terrifying race with a cruel nature. The 9 great sea demon grandmasters attacked at the same time. Even a peak grandmaster monster would not have much luck. Many sea demons felt that this human was dead for sure. There was no reason for him to live. A bunch of seafood dares to clamor in front of me? Xiaoping did not even look at them. He stomped on the ground like an ancient bull trampling on the earth. The entire hall, the entire city lord's mansion, or the area within a radius of 10 kilometers with Xiaoping's body as the center, shook violently. In an instant, from Xiaoping's body, a terrifying shockwave spread out, condensing into a solid substance. It was like the sound waves of the sea, stacking layer by layer and spreading out. It also contained the power of a spiritual attack, which fiercely bombarded the souls of the 9 great sea demon grandmasters. The 9 great sea demon grandmasters had not even reached Xiaoping's side. There was a distance of 5 or 6 meters between them, but they were immediately hit by the power of the sound waves. It was as if they had been hit on the back of the head by a hammer. The power was accurate and brutal, leaving no room for maneuver. The first to bear the brunt were the 3 swordfish grandmasters. They were horrified. Because they were the fastest, they were the vanguard, so they were the first to be unlucky. Boom. Xiaoping's fist smashed out like a meteor smashing into the ground. The air was beaten into a barrier, condensing into a solid substance, and instantly bombarded the bodies of the 3 swordfish grandmasters. The 3 swordfish grandmasters let out shrill screams as they were hit by the fist. The terrifying spiral force exploded in their bodies, as if several tons of explosives had exploded at the same time. With a boom, they immediately exploded in mid-air, disintegrating into a mass of meat paste. Oh no! Seeing the 3 swordfish grandmasters die with a single punch, their bodies exploding and turning into meat paste, the 3 electric eel grandmasters were horrified. All the cells in their bodies trembled, and every cell was filled with a strong sense of crisis. It was as if the god of death was standing in front of them, smiling. They could not wait to immediately turn around and run. But it was already too late. Xiaoping closed in on them and slapped them. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of lightning bolts were instantly annihilated under this palm, turning into nothingness. It was as if they had been neutralized by the energy, disappearing completely. Boom. The 3 electric eel grandmasters were caught off guard and were immediately sent flying by Xiaoping's slap. They were unable to put up any resistance and just flew in mid-air. They flew for a full 2 or 3 kilometers before finally smashing into a hard concrete wall in the distance. With a crack, they were immediately slammed into the wall, hanging there like a painting. Their eyes were wide open, blood flowed from the corners of their mouths, and their internal organs were shattered. Chapter 929. Seeing Grandmaster Electric Eel and Grandmaster Swordfish die with a single palm and a single punch respectively, the seashell grandmasters who had claimed that they wanted to eat Xiaoping were so scared that they peed their pants. All the shells on their bodies retracted. They were filled with lingering fear. If they had been just a little bit faster, they would have ended up like the grandmasters in front of them, easily beaten into a pile of dregs by Xiaoping. Not good, this brat is coming. Run. But very quickly the three Sisho grandmasters were scared half to death. Their pupils constricted. Xiaoping did not plan on letting them go. His figure flickered, leaving behind a series of afterimages in his original position. He was like a rock that flew through the air. In just a breath's time, he had neared the three Sisho grandmasters and immediately kicked them. The power of this kick was not to be underestimated. It was like the legendary heavenly crippling kick that had the power to shake mountains. They all felt that Xiaoping's kick contained a terrifying whirlpool power. The air formed a whirlpool that was like a meat grinder. Once they were sucked in, not even their bones would be left. Sisho race secret technique, absolute defense. The three Sisho grandmasters loudly shouted. The shells on their bodies immediately closed, and the ancient inscriptions on the shells trembled, emitting a deep blue energy barrier that spread outwards. Even the energy barriers between them fused together, forming a massive domain that covered a radius of several hundred meters. It seemed to isolate all energy. He actually used the Sisho race's secret technique. Many of the sea demons were shocked. They had never thought that a tiny human would be able to force the Sisho grandmasters to use their ultimate technique. This was basically a life-saving technique. Once the Sisho race's secret technique was used, they would sacrifice a large portion of their attack power and use all of their power to carry out an absolute defense. The power of different Sisho grandmasters could even fuse and evolve, making their defense even stronger. It was precisely because of this secret technique that the Sisho race could run amok in the endless sea and swallow everything. They were known as the Taotai of the endless sea, but not many races could do anything to them. However, if they wanted to use this secret technique, it was a matter of life and death. After all, every time they used it, they would consume a large amount of their bloodline power and damage their foundation. Thus, they did not want to use it unless they had no other choice. Absolute defense? Truly a frog at the bottom of a well. This world is very big, and there are many martial arts that can break through the defenses of the shell race. Xiaoping coldly laughed and did not care at all as he continued to kick. Ever since he fought with the Saint Image in the Universe Virtual Network, it had greatly broadened his horizons. He no longer cared about ordinary martial arts. He could instantly see through the flaws. Although the stellar chi of these three seashells grandmasters was extremely powerful and could even strengthen each other, in the eyes of his golden crow eye, they were full of mistakes. In an instant he found more than 10 flaws. Dong. This kick ruthlessly landed on the weak point of the absolute defense. Immediately, the entire chi cover exploded, and the tyrannical spiraling force bombarded the body of the three-headed seashell grandmaster. Ah! The three of them immediately let out mournful screams. To their horror, they discovered that their shells could not withstand the spiraling energy. It directly penetrated their shell's defense and seeped into their internal organs. In just a second, their bodies flew out and exploded in midair. Their insides turned into mush, and only 3 shells were left on the spot, clanging loudly. They're all dead. Many sea demons were dumbfounded, and deep shock appeared in the depths of their eyes. They had never thought that such a thing would happen. 9 great sea demon grandmasters had attacked at the same time to kill a human grandmaster. Now, not only had they not caused any harm to the human grandmaster, but they had been killed by a punch, a palm, and a kick. They had died in a very vexed manner. This human was really too strong. Go die. Dragon King Halberd. The moment Xiaoping killed the 9th Sea Demon Grandmaster, the Sea Dragon Prince Hai Peng suddenly moved. He felt that he couldn't continue like this. Otherwise, this human would definitely start a massacre and kill all the Sea Demon Grandmasters present. He saw that Xiaoping had a flaw in that instant and instantly took out his halberd. Like a real dragon, it tore through the air and stabbed towards Xiaoping's back. The power of this halberd was extremely terrifying. Whether it was the angle, power, or speed, they all reached the level of a peak Grandmaster. No Grandmaster demon would be able to withstand this attack. Moreover, this was a perfect sneak attack. While Xiaoping had no strength to fight back and was careless, he launched a fatal attack to stab Xiaoping to death with one blow. Vaguely, the surrounding sea demons seemed to see the surrounding astral energy congealing into the shape of a sea dragon, roaring in the void, shaking heaven and earth. It opened its mouth wide as if it wanted to swallow Xiaoping whole. This was the famous peerless martial art of the Sea Dragon clan, the Dragon King Halberd. When the halberd struck, it was like the Dragon King had come to life, with the power to stir the sea, summon the wind and summon the rain. It was invincible and invincible. You want to kill me? You're not qualified. Xiaoping sneered. Under the coverage of his mental strength there was almost no blind spot. This Hai Ping thought that he could sneak attack him. He wanted to laugh his head off. With a bang he grabbed the void and immediately grabbed the spear of hell from the space ring. Immediately this weapon from hell was filled with a terrible aura. With the spear of hell as the center, it immediately covered a bloody world as if falling into the Avicii hell. Without so much as a glance he hurled the hell spear over. Rumble, the spear of hell spun violently in the air, producing a terrible piercing force. It tore through the void and attacked the sea rock with lightning speed. Dong. With just one strike, the Dragon King in the air seemed to be immediately penetrated from the head to the tail. The surrounding chi of heaven and earth collapsed inch by inch. This spear was simply like the spear of dragon slaying. Not good. The sea rock screamed. He could feel the horror of this spear. A faint bloody light appeared on the tip of the spear, and there seemed to be many remnant souls of hell creatures left on it. He seemed to see a picture of hell. A spear was stabbed into the bloody ground, and a bloody moon hung in the sky. There were many corpses of gods and demons around it. Blood flowed like a river, forming a mountain of corpses. It was filled with an ancient aura. Bang! The Sea Dragon clan's eldest prince was unable to resist. His right arm was instantly penetrated by the spear of hell. His entire body was pushed back by the powerful impact. In the end he was nailed to a wall 3 kilometers away. The spear of hell buzzed and its tail trembled. Blood dripped from the wound and scattered on the ground. This? Chapter 930. How is it? Did you pee your pants? Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back and looked at Hai Peng indifferently. I deliberately missed this shot. I didn't kill you for the time being to let you know that I can kill you at any time I want. In my eyes, the so-called Sea Dragon clan is like a reptile. I can trample it to death whenever I want. He looked down at the prince of the Sea Dragon clan as if he was looking at an ant. Hearing this, Hai Peng was shocked and angry, ashamed and annoyed. As the prince of the Sea Dragon clan, he had a noble status and amazing talent. He had long been used to being domineering in the underwater world. Except for his father, the Sea Dragon King, who else could he take seriously? Even if it was an ordinary king, he didn't care at all. Relying on his identity as the prince of the Sea Dragon clan, he was extremely arrogant and no one dared to disrespect him. Now, a human had almost killed him. If the other party's hand had been a little bit shaken, he would have really died and met his ancestors directly. He was extremely resentful of this human who dared to humiliate him in public. He roared, Go, kill this human together. Kill him, skin him and pull out his tendons." Hai Peng had completely lost his mind. He ordered his subordinates to attack together. No matter what they had to do, they had to kill this shameless human who dared to humiliate him. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As soon as he said that, the Sea Demon Grandmasters present looked at each other. They didn't say anything but they instantly closed in on Xia Ping, surrounding him tightly. Some used long swords. Some used halberds. Some used tentacles. Some were bare-handed. But each of them had at least reached the 8th sky of the Supreme Power Realm, and there were even sea demons at the 9th sky of the Supreme Power Realm. Their faces were ferocious and they wanted to kill this human being and crush him into pieces. Dozens of terrifying Gangchi attacks came just like dozens of missiles, containing the power to destroy a small island. The power was terrible. Is it useful to attack together? I'll tell you why humans on the land can't be provoked. With a bang, Xia Ping trampled on the ground and at the same time, he used the precious weapon, the soul-absorbing bell. This precious weapon immediately made a clanging sound. With its body as the center, mysterious spiritual fluctuations invisible to the naked eye spread out, covering a radius of 2 or 3 kilometers. What? All of a sudden, many sea demon grandmasters were shocked. As Xia Ping stomped on the ground, the entire space underwent a huge change. It was as if they had been pulled into another world. The soul-absorbing bell's power was unleashed, causing all of them to hallucinate and lose their souls. They felt as if they had arrived in a hellish world. Everywhere was dark, and they stepped on a blood-red ground. There were shocking skeletons everywhere, and blood chi permeated the air. A blood-red moon hung in the sky, and the angry roars of gods and devils could be heard from time to time, causing one's heart to palpitate. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Right at this moment, a series of violent vines flew out from the blood-colored ground, instantly binding all of their limbs and even their necks tightly. The vines had a pulling force of several tens of tons. No matter how they struggled, they were unable to break free from the demonic vines. They all felt waves of suffocation as if they were ducks that had fallen into the sea. They were about to drown in the seawater and die of suffocation just like that. Bang bang bang. A few seconds later they could not withstand the pressure and fell to the ground, foaming at the mouth, unconscious. Impossible. What the hell is happening? The Sea Dragon Prince Hai Peng, the Octopus Prince Zhang Ming, and the Whale Prince Jing Zhantian were all stunned. They did not know what had happened to these Sea Demon Grandmasters. They only saw this human lightly step on the ground. Immediately, these Sea Demon Grandmasters seemed to have been bewitched. They were all dumbstruck and lost their consciousness. In the next second, they foamed at the mouth and fell to the ground without the strength to fight. No matter how rich their imaginations were, they could not imagine what had happened. This was too strange. This soul-absorbing bell is really powerful. Xia Ping was very satisfied with the power of this artifact. This was a peerless weapon that directly targeted the soul. Only a life form with a powerful soul would be able to resist it. If one's soul was not strong enough, then they would instantly faint under this kind of power. In fact, if he wanted to deliberately target an enemy, he could even shake them into an idiot. This was a powerful weapon for group attacks. No matter how many enemies there were, they would be useless in front of the soul-absorbing bell. Human, what did you do to my subordinates? Hai Peng could not help but scream. He stared at Xia Ping. For the first time he felt fear towards a puny human. He could not fight him at all. No, this might not be a human at all. He was a demon wearing human skin. Pah! Xia Ping stepped forward and slapped him. In an instant, Hai Peng was slapped down from the wall. He spun a few times in the air and fell heavily to the ground. His face instantly swelled up like bread. At the same time, a red handprint appeared on his face. 2 or 3 teeth fell out of his mouth. He looked very wretched. What are you screaming for? Did I allow you to speak? Xia Ping looked down at Hai Peng, who was lying on the ground. He just looked at him. You. Hai Peng was going crazy. With a smack, Xia Ping slapped him again. It was a symmetrical slap and both sides were swollen. You're still shouting? Do you need a lesson? I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of your father. Don't be too grateful to me. Hai Peng almost went crazy. Papa. Xia Ping slapped him a few more times. His face was swollen like a steamed bun. Blood dripped from his face. He could no longer speak. He did not even have the strength to hate Xia Ping. Alright, now you can finally understand human language and know what it means to respect others. This is a good start. Seeing that Hai Peng could no longer speak, Xia Ping was very satisfied. He felt that his education was very effective. Effect my ass. Octopus Prince Zhang Ming and the other sea demons were cursing in their hearts. Hai Peng was beaten to this state by you. Of course he could not say anything. It would be strange if he could speak. They increasingly felt that this human was simply a demon. He specialized in torturing monsters for fun. Remember, from now on, you just stay in the underwater world obediently. Don't come to land. Even if you come to land, don't provoke humans. Otherwise I will be very angry. The consequences will be quite serious. Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back. To tell you the truth, your thoughts are quite shallow. You even want to capture the humans of a few islands to threaten me. I don't even know which idiot taught you such foolish actions. Am I someone who can be threatened by you? Chapter 931. Understood, understood. The sea demons that were still conscious all nodded their heads vigorously. They did not dare to provoke this terrifying human at all. Even dozens of Grandmaster monsters were defeated by this human on the spot. Even if they really joined forces, they would not be a match for this terrifying human. Even the most arrogant Hai Peng did not dare to say anything. Of course, now that its face was swollen, even if it wanted to say something, it could not say anything. We will immediately release these captured humans, immediately. I hope that you are magnanimous and do not kill us. Zhang Ming and the other monsters were all trembling, looking at Xia Ping in horror, afraid that Xia Ping would go crazy and kill them all. One had to know that they were all princes of noble status, with a bright future ahead of them. There was hope that they would be promoted to monster kings. If they died now, they would have nothing left. Don't be anxious. Xia Ping waved his hand and looked at the group of demons. I've said it before. If you dare to kill a human, I'll slaughter an entire city of sea demons. Fortunately, you didn't make a stupid mistake and can still mend your ways. Today, I came here just to say hello to you. Now that you know your mistakes, it is good that you know your mistakes and can mend them. In the future you are still a good monster. He was arrogant, as if an elder was teaching his grandson. Mend your ass. The group of sea demons were so angry that their lungs were about to explode. He said that this human was fat and he really began to pant. He actually began to talk to them about the principles of life, as if he was an elder lecturing them. Did this despicable human really think of them as his grandchildren? Even their father had never lectured them like this, but they did not dare to contradict this cruel human, for fear that this cruel human would go crazy and get out of hand. That's right, this human brother is right. We did go a little too far before, but we will definitely mend our ways in the future. Thank you, human brother, for forgiving our stupid behavior. We will definitely not make any mistakes in the future. Many monsters nodded and spoke while covering their conscience. In the face of such a tyrannical power, they could only temporarily bow their heads to this human under pressure. Each of them lowered their eyes as if they had already been tamed, and no longer had the hostility from before. It's good that you know how to repent. Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back. All of you still want to snatch the mermaid princess from my hands. This is simply absurd. What's the difference between your actions and those of tyrants, bandits, and bandits? He rebuked the wickedness. Many of the sea demons looked at this human with disdain. How dare he talk about them? This shameless human is the most evil bandit in the world. Who doesn't know that the Shark Demon King's treasure vault was emptied by you? The main culprit that caused the Shark Demon King to become penniless is you, shameless human. Moreover, he even kidnapped the mermaid princess. If this wasn't a bandit, then what was? How could he be so shameless to blame them when he had done such an evil thing? Xia Ping's face was thicker than the city wall. He didn't care about the eyes of the sea beasts and continued, I'll be honest with you. In the entire endless sea, everyone knows that the mermaid princess and I love each other. Soon we will be married. After a while, I will be the son-in-law of the mermaid king. I will dominate the endless sea. You still dare to offend me, the son-in-law of the mermaid king. If this isn't stupid, then what is? In the future, with one command, I will mobilize the billions of soldiers of the mermaid kingdom and wipe you out in an instant. Not even a speck of you will be left. Tie the knot. Hearing this, many of the sea demons were stunned. They didn't expect this human to have such a terrifying idea. Not only did he want to kidnap the mermaid princess, but he also wanted to take this opportunity to become the son-in-law of the mermaid king. What an evil idea, what a shameless act. So that was it. They finally understood why this human dared to do such a heinous thing. It turned out that he was ambitious and wanted to steal the mermaid princess. What was done could not be undone. He wanted to force the mermaid king to acknowledge his position. Then this human would take this opportunity to enter the center of power of the mermaid kingdom. He would take control of the mermaid kingdom and occupy a place in the endless sea. What an evil plan. If this human really succeeded, then it would be hard to say who the endless sea would listen to in the future. This was not a matter that concerned the lives of humans on a dozen islands, but a matter that concerned countless races in the endless sea. Once this news got out, it would definitely be earth-shattering. For a time, their imaginations ran wild and they were completely stunned. Lien Haipeng was also dumbfounded, not knowing what to say. All right, I won't waste any more words with you. Xia Ping waved his hand. Anyway, this matter ends here. Go back to your homes. If you dare to step on land and do evil again, I will kill you myself. He was full of murderous intent. After saying that, he turned around and left. With a whoosh, he jumped into the air and was sucked into the moon god ship in the sky. In the next second, the ship jumped through space and soon disappeared from Orchid Island. At this moment, in a remote and dark place below the island, 2 or 3 sea demon kings appeared. Their eyes were cold as they stared at the place where Xia Ping's ship disappeared. What do we do? Are we not going to do anything? A sea demon king stared at Xia Ping's back with a gloomy expression. They were the bodyguards responsible for protecting these sea demon princes. Their goal was to prevent any accidents from happening to them. We can't do anything. This kid dared to come alone, so he must have something up his sleeves. Also, that ship can kill kings. Didn't you sense it? The weapon system on it has been locked onto us. If we dare to act rashly, we will definitely be attacked, another demon king said in a low voice. He could feel that the ship was a fatal threat to him. It was because of the existence of that ship that they didn't dare to act rashly. The most annoying thing is that this human is wearing a universal protective suit. Even a high-level king can't kill him. He's like an unkillable hedgehog. That's right. Shadow Goblin King tried to assassinate him once on the battlefield. He used his full strength, but this guy is still alive and kicking. This universal protective suit is too much. It doesn't make sense at all. Even if we can't kill him, there is still the ship eyeing us. If we act rashly, our demon kings might be fine, but the princes here will all die. This kid knows the severity of the situation. Although he killed some elite guards, he didn't kill the princes with high status. He only suffered heavy injuries and didn't completely fall out with us. Our mission is still to protect the princes. We can't fight this human head-on. I hope this will teach the princes a lesson. In the future they won't casually come to land. This is an extremely dangerous world. Chapter 932. Seeing Xia Ping leave, many sea demons heaved a sigh of relief. Luckily this human didn't start a massacre. Otherwise they would probably all die in his hands. Despicable human. At this moment, Sea Dragon Prince Hai Ping roared, "I won't let him off. I definitely won't let him off." It was furious to the extreme. It had never suffered such a great humiliation in its entire life. It was beaten into such a state and humiliated in public. Its face was simply swollen from the slap. If this matter was spread back to the sea dragon race, he would immediately become a laughing stock. In the future he would probably be pointed at by others. "Prince, lower your voice. If that human didn't go far and came back to hear you, it would be terrible." A sea demon reminded him softly. He looked around carefully, afraid that the evil human would come back. If that happened, they wouldn't be as lucky as before. "Lower your head." Sea Dragon Prince Hai Peng was furious. "Are you fucking scared out of your wits by that human? That guy just ran away. How could he come back? You're just a coward." He didn't expect that the brave elite sea dragon race soldiers in the boundless sea would actually tell him to lower his voice because they were afraid of a human. The sea dragon race was born with such loud voices. How could he lower his voice? This was clearly making things difficult for him. "I'm not afraid of what if." That sea demon felt that it was better to lower their voice. Perhaps it would be safer if the human walked far away and couldn't hear them. Scram. Hai Peng slapped him angrily, sending him flying several meters away. He shouted angrily, "You are afraid of this human, but I, Hai Peng, am not. I will fight to the death with him. First, I will destroy this human on Orchid Island. I will kill them all. I want to see if this human dares to kill me and slaughter my sea dragon race's city." He was so angry that he wanted to fight to the death with Xia Ping. As the prince of the sea dragon race, his identity was very precious. Even compared to the mermaid princess, he wouldn't be at a disadvantage. Now, he was actually humiliated by a small human and almost died. He couldn't swallow this anger. He wanted to kill someone to vent his anger. That's not a good idea. That human is a lunatic. The octopus prince Zhang Ming was a little hesitant. He was a little scared by Xia Ping, and a shadow had formed in his heart. Crazy your sister. Hai Peng flew into a rage. So what if he's a madman? I don't believe that the Sea Dragon clan can't do anything to him. Even if a Grandmaster can't kill him or even a normal King tier can't kill him, my father Emperor will definitely be able to kill him. No one can offend me, Hai Peng, and still be alive in the endless sea. Many of the sea demons nodded in agreement. The Sea Dragon King was an invincible king. He was equally as famous as the Mermaid King. He was also a ferocious king of the ocean. If the Sea Dragon King were to make a move, that kind of scene would be quite terrifying. That human would definitely die. Report. Suddenly, a dozen pale-faced guards rushed in from the outside. Like a gust of wind, they quickly ran into the hall and arrived in front of the Siren Princes. "Oh no, First Prince." A Sea Dragon clan soldier immediately shouted, "Just half an hour ago, someone detonated a nuclear bomb 3 kilometers away from the 3 cities of our Sea Dragon clan in the underwater world: Dragon Horn City, Dragon Might City, and Dragon Scale City. The explosion destroyed the area within a radius of several kilometers, causing seawater to flow backward and setting off a shocking storm. The 3 underwater cities suffered great losses." What? Hearing this, Hai Peng was stunned and his face turned pale. He didn't expect such a thing to happen. The 3 underwater cities, Dragon Horn City, Dragon Might City, and Dragon Scale City, were all extremely important residential cities of the Sea Dragon clan. If anything happened to these 3 cities, the entire Sea Dragon clan would be in great turmoil. In particular, many members of the Sea Dragon clan's royal family also lived in these 3 cities. If these nuclear bombs did not explode outside the cities but inside the cities, the consequences would be unimaginable. Prince, several cities belonging to the Octopus tribe, such as Octagon City, Red Octagon City, and Black Rock City, have also experienced nuclear explosions. The tremors within a radius of dozens of miles caused an underwater earthquake with a magnitude of 7 or 8. Although there weren't many casualties, it caused huge damage to buildings and many houses collapsed. The territory of the Electric Eel clan was also destroyed. The same goes for the territory of the Swordfish clan. My God, bad news came from the territory of the Shell clan. One by one, the Sea Demon soldiers reported the news, saying that many important cities of the Sea Demon clan had been ambushed with nuclear bombs and deliberately chose this time to detonate them at the same time, shocking the entire Endless Sea. Xiaoping, it's definitely that bitch Xiaoping who did it. A Sea Demon Grandmaster screamed, "This is a warning to us. Right now the nuclear bombs are only placed outside the cities. Next time the nuclear bombs might be placed in the cities of our clan. If we dare to kill a human, that bitch will dare to detonate a nuclear bomb. I told you that this human is a lunatic, absolutely a lunatic, but you don't believe me." His face was pale with fright and his entire body was trembling. It can't be. This human dares to do this? Does he want to start a war with the many races of the Endless Sea? For a few insignificant humans on a few islands, he wants to destroy the important cities of our clan. What does he want? Once he does such a thing, he definitely won't be able to get away with it. We can't be careless. Others might not dare to do it, but this lunatic Xiaoping will definitely do it. Many sea demons were trembling. If it was someone else who said such words and did such a thing, they would think that the other party did not have the guts to do it and was just bluffing and scaring them. But the person who said such words and did such a thing was the human Xiaoping. This brat did all kinds of evil. He dared to empty the treasury of the Shark Demon King's palace, dared to beat up many descendants of the Demon Kings, and even dared to kidnap the Mermaid Princess. There was nothing that this brat did not dare to do. Those who dared to look down on this human's guts had basically all gone to hell to repent. First Prince. Many sea demons looked at Hai Peng, wanting to know what he was thinking. If he really gave the order to kill the humans on Orchid Island and the other islands, there was no doubt that he would start an all-out war with the humans. Every sea demon city would suffer from this human's crazy revenge. Once they thought of countless nuclear bombs buried in their cities and detonated at the same time, shaking the heavens and earth and killing countless of their kind, they trembled in fear and their faces turned ashen. They were not afraid of death, but were their friends and family not afraid of death? Let them go. With a slap, the Sea Dragon clan's first prince Hai Peng was so scared that he collapsed on the ground. His entire body was trembling, and he did not dare to persist any longer. Xiaoping's threat was blatant, and he did not hide his intentions at all. If he dared to do such a thing, he must have the guts to perish together with his enemies. Obviously, Hai Peng did not have the guts, nor could he make such a crazy decision. Chapter 933. On the second day, the sea dragons, octopuses, seashells, electric eels, and other sea demon races immediately retreated from the dozen or so human islands. They didn't kill a single person and didn't even take away a single treasure. They just returned along the way. In an instant, many of the captured humans seemed to have woken up from a dream. If it weren't for the fact that they were still tied up, they would have thought that they were dreaming. Otherwise, how could such an absurd thing happen? What exactly is going on? Why did these ferocious and evil sea demons suddenly retreat without any news at all? Someone was puzzled. In fact, this was also the question on everyone's mind. I know. It must be our ancestor. Our ancestor definitely took action. Otherwise, these sea demons wouldn't have retreated so obediently. They didn't even dare to let out a fart. That's right. If the king didn't show up personally to intimidate these sea demons and let them know the power of our human king, they wouldn't have left so obediently and didn't even dare to take a hair. Our ancestor is really powerful. As expected of a king. Even these ferocious and lawless sea demons were scared witless. Many humans were satisfied and felt honored. With the protection of a king, they felt very safe. But if those sea demons were really afraid of our ancestor, why would they come to us? There shouldn't be any other reason, right? Someone raised his doubt. Everyone was stunned and felt that it made sense. If their ancestor was really that powerful, these sea demons wouldn't have dared to invade their islands so brazenly. Could this matter be related to Xiaoping? Some people immediately thought of Xiaoping. However, someone immediately retorted, impossible. Even if this guy has 3 heads and 6 arms, he can't scare these sea demons. Could he be more terrifying than a king? Many people nodded in agreement. First of all, whether this guy had the ability or not, first of all, he was a bastard who didn't want to save them. Why would he save them? When we go back, we must definitely accuse Xiaoping, this bastard, of not saving us. He would rather sacrifice our lives than hand over the mermaid princess. He even shamelessly asked us to sacrifice our lives and become martyrs. What a despicable act. I will not live under the same sky as that bastard. A disciple of the Wang clan gnashed his teeth. He finally remembered Xiaoping. Because of this bastard, they were almost killed by those sea demons. Even in death, they would never forget this matter. Fortunately, the group of sea demons were perceptive and did not fall for Xiaoping's evil tricks. Otherwise, how could they continue to live in this world? They would have long become food in the stomachs of the sea demons. The patriarch is here. Suddenly, someone shouted. 2 or 3 spaceships appeared in the sky. They quickly flew over and landed on the ground. Following that, more than 10 kings walked out of the flying ship. They were all kings of the major clans and were all old-timers. Patriarch. The group of people immediately went up and shed tears of gratitude. They were just about to say some words of gratitude to the old ancestor. But soon someone exclaimed, "Fuck, why is this bitch Xiaoping here too?" His eyes widened and he immediately discovered that Xiaoping was chatting cheerfully with the other monarchs, as if they were on very good terms. He was so scared that his eyeballs almost popped out. Fuck, this bitch Xiaoping still dares to come? I'm going to kill him right now. A burly man with a very bad temper remembered his old and new grudges, and he wanted to rush up and teach Xiaoping a lesson. But before they could rush up, the Pan family's patriarch Panda shouted angrily, "What the hell are you doing? You have no respect for your elders. You see Brother Xia and not greet him. What a scandal. If Brother Xia hadn't personally acted this time, you would all be dead. You can say that he is your savior. You should all come forward and thank him." His expression was very serious. What? Everyone was aggrieved as if a toad had been stuffed into their mouths. Their faces were red and they could barely speak. It was clearly this bastard who had almost killed them. It was because of this bastard that they had provoked so many sea demons. They were just small fish and shrimp in the pond. No matter how they looked at it, this Xiaoping was the main culprit and should be criticized. But now, he had actually become their savior and they still had to thank him. If this was a joke, then this joke had gone too far. Hey, you're too polite. Brother Pan, there's no need to be so polite. We're all brothers of the human race, so there's no need to be so polite. Saving them was just a small effort, so there's no need to thank him or give him any precious gifts. You're too polite. Xiaoping waved his hand modestly. Gift my ass. The group of people gritted their teeth. Their old ancestor did not mention anything about giving gifts at all, but this guy was extremely thick-skinned and shamelessly brought up the matter of giving gifts. It was clear that he was afraid that others would not give gifts, so he deliberately pointed out this matter. Moreover, what did this bastard call their patriarch? Brother Pan? Panda, your uncle, is that something you can call him? It should be known that Panda was the patriarch of the Pan family, and his seniority was extremely high. Basically, everyone present was his grandson or granddaughter, but now this kid was calling their patriarch a brother, and their status was equal. In this way, weren't they all the grandsons of this shameless Xiaoping? The seniority was all messed up. How could someone take advantage of others like this? They all glared at Xiaoping fiercely. No, this isn't polite at all. Panda waved his hand repeatedly. If it weren't for Brother Xia, these little bastards would have died long ago. How could they still be so lively and full of energy? Thanks are only part of the reason. Gifts are also necessary. My Pan family will definitely prepare a big gift for Brother Xia later. His tone was very sincere. Patriarch. The descendants of the Pan family all felt very aggrieved. It was clearly this bastard's fault. He could count himself lucky not to ask for compensation, but now he had to give him a gift. How could such a thing happen in this world? That's right, Brother Xia. Money is just a worldly possession. As long as it can save so many of our descendants, money doesn't matter. This time it was all thanks to Brother Xia. If it weren't for Brother Xia solving this problem perfectly, we wouldn't know what to do. The dozen or so kings all said to Xiaoping. Even the patriarch of the Wang family, Wang Kong, who had the greatest opinion of Xiaoping, had nothing to say. This was because Xiaoping's performance in this matter was too shocking. He easily disintegrated the allied army of sea demons and prevented the outbreak of war. At the same time, he made these sea demons retreat willingly. This performance was almost perfect. Coupled with his talent, advancing to the king realm was an ironclad matter. If there was no need, who would be willing to become enemies with such a monstrous genius? It was better to take advantage of this opportunity to quickly befriend this genius. There would be many benefits in the future. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.